to Kobold Adventures. So, the curse was in fact real. My router got struck by lightning. We were only supposed to be gone for a week. But something happened. A bad storm rolled in and took out my Wi-Fi. And so I've been running one-shots and other adventures for my friends in the meantime. So that is the reason why this hasn't returned for a bit. But if you had the patience to wait, welcome back. How are you guys doing?
Doing fine.
Yeah.
Living that good life.
Having a good time, having a good time.
Having a good time. Alright, well, I suppose we can get things back up to speed, shall we? Well, it has been some time since we last met. And so we return to the story of 4 kobolds. Meepo, Eldath's disciple of peace, Hawks, seeker of runic secrets, Savage, Axebeak whisperer, and Skanuk, the genius pyromaniac, as well to include their newest ally, Sanar, the elven mummy who they liberated from a forgotten elven tomb. Last time, after saving a woman from being sacrificed on the new moon and setting her up safely in the village of Tourmaline, the party received word that the village they had previously saved, Lonelywood, was besieged again by agents of the frost druid Ravison. This revenge-bent servant of Oril sought nothing more than Lonelywood's destruction, and only the party could truly stand in her way. The disguised kobolds directed Nimsy Huddle, speaker of Lonelywood, and the villagers to gather wood to set up as barricades and palisades to funnel the animals to where the party would be waiting. And so they did, until nightfall, for then, Nimsy explained, the true bulk of the animal horde would show itself, along with a newly awakened saber-toothed tiger, Bloodfang, who was Ravison's second in command. The battle was a terrible fray of sword, axe, fang, and claw, wolves and bears all swarming from the forest, along with Bloodfang, and Ravison in tow. The party was nearly done in, thanks to Ravison's concentrated winter spells, but not before the party took out all of her animal compatriots. Thankfully, Savage managed to get the killing blow and end Ravison's threat to the Dale forever. Though, with the snow settled, what new enemies will challenge the kobolds, and what forces converge as the winds grow colder and colder? The rage of the Frost Maiden grows, as she sets her sights on 4 little kobolds, breathing heavily and recovering as the adrenaline wanes. And so, we shift to you 4. Nearly moments have passed since the battle had ended.
How are the roofs doing on the town? Anybody hurt inside those buildings?
From what you can tell, you don't see any immediate damage. That at least the roofs do seem damaged because the spell was a very wide area. But thankfully, the roofs were slightly sturdy enough that it didn't get through. For the most part, there are some holes here or there, but you think most people survived. That you can tell.
That's good to hear. How am I doing?
I believe you're not.
I'm alive.
Great. You're alive, yes, but not without, problems. But as you all reconvene with each other,
apparently I didn't get to use my channel divinity during the battle, so I might do it now if we need health.
Really? I thought you did.
I think I was out cold for half the battle.
Oh, you know what? I think it's starting to come
I
back
used
to me.
emboldening bond, and I was emboldening things, but I mean I didn't get to use my ability or any spells really.
Right. No. Yes. Okay. No. It's coming back to me. That is in fact what happened. Oh.
Yeah, and I think I used one of my spells before the battle too, one of my higher level spells, to remove curse on
Yeah. You see, you savage. Of
on
course.
Savage.
Yeah, you savage would see Morte Blanca, who's at 2 HP, just like still with bloodlust in her eyes, just pecking, just running over and pecking the corpses of the animals, just peck, 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 peck.
Let her eat.
I mean, I'm kind of in that same boat too. I'm like 5 hit points, still furious, not raging, but just pretty much unhinged at this whole situation.
As you
I think
all-
I scratched my elbow.
Do you need any help over there, Skanook? Sounds like that's painful.
Nah, I should be good. Scott like looks over and sees Meepo with just gashes all over. Hey, you know, good.
Exactly.
Anyway, I can help if people need it.
Like in the meantime, Hawks would focus on getting some of these barriers that we set up earlier, or we had set up, taken down, and the massive number of dead critters out of the way.
Indeed, which I do believe you had rolled. Did you? I believe you had rolled checks for.
I have some stuff in my inventory, some interesting things. I believe we've already retrieved stuff as well.
Yes, I believe you got stuff from the bears, and yes, I believe yes you did get stuff from Bloodfang, Dago. I mean what?
Give me just a second. My dog's throwing up.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
Of course.
fun.
Take your time. I believe me, I know that feel all too well. I hear. I'm like no.
Yep. This is why dog doors are good. I miss having a dog door. Well, I mean, I don't currently have a dog, but having a dog. When we had a dog door, it was a very convenient thing because they were smart enough to just go outside and handle that.
Now, we don't have that in my house, but thankfully we have a lot of tile floors and not carpet floors because tile floors are one thing; they're pretty easily cleanable for the most part. But it's when it gets in the carpet and it's like it sticks in there and it's hard to clean.
Yeah, carpet is the worst case scenario.
I
Well, no,
prefer...
like
Go ahead.
important papers on the floor or something is the worst case scenario, but carpet is normal worst case.
Let's see here. While you guys are recovering, I would like anyone who wishes to make a perception check for me.
That should not have been an advantage, but you know, not a huge difference between rolls anyway.
Fair enough. Just double check something really quickly. Cross-referencing, checking. Yes, one moment. Waiting, I'm looking, I'm searching. There we go. As you all are there in the snow and recovering and gathering all the materials that you wish to take from these creatures, you hear the sound of sled dogs and barking coming in your direction.
Stack! We've been discovered!
Up, stack up, oh, get in.
Alright.
I guess I'm the left arm. Wait, am I the head? Who's the
Think
head?
Savage is the head. Think Savage is the
Savage
head.
is the head. Right. Savage, up top. Come on,
Ugh.
strap in.
Alright, get on my shoulders.
Alright, you will quickly form back up as quick as you can. The distance towards where this sound is coming from is probably around maybe 200 or so feet away, so you have a little bit of time. But you do manage to stack up together before a very curious group enters the village.
Are we supposed to stay on the map? Or are we on the village?
You're
Map.
supposed to stay on this map right now.
'Kay.
This is mostly theory of the mind right now.
Just double check.
No, good to know. Good to know. That's not what I want. That's not it either. That's way too spooky.
I was gonna say.
Please wait while we handle the technical difficulties.
It's not even
Dum,
technical difficulties. Me just
dum,
being too picky with my music choice,
Dum.
which is itself a curse.
Dum.
That's good enough. So, Caleb, are you back?
Doesn't sound like it.
Well, before I introduce this new individual, let us wait for Caleb. This is something I would like everyone to see, hear described.
Experience.
Yes.
Like the next boss enemy showing up.
Or the next ally.
We will see.
It's Santa.
Listen, Buster. This ain't no C.S. Lewis, friggin'.
It could be. All you have to do is make it.
I mean, I could. I mean, to be fair, most DMs are within their rights to alter modules as they see fit, which I have done in some cases for the book, for what I've run so far. But I'm not, unless it's like actually close.
I'm not gonna make you alter the book just so you can add Santa in.
I mean, I'd be tempted to if it was close to.
It's not even Christmas. It's July.
Well, you know.
Let's calm down.
Well, you know, there is in fact a Rudolph special that is in fact based in Christmas in July, so it's not too far off.
I'll withhold judgment for now.
It's July 30th. July's tomorrow. But no. So while we are waiting, though, let's see. What can I do in the meantime? How about let's see. What any new UA that's come out recently that I've missed? Let me see.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I've seen anything recently. I think they mentioned that they're putting out a book in between two of the ones they've already announced, but they haven't announced anything about what that book is.
Because the last one was the survey for Mages of Strixhaven. That's the newest one they put out.
I am very excited for the Strixhaven stuff. Not that I have any ideas offhand, but like some of the subclass options seemed really, really fun.
Okay, I'm back.
Everything,
Good.
Everything okay?
Yeah, so he was just throwing up some yellow stuff. Don't know what it was, so let him out.
That
Maybe grass?
that can sometimes happen if they're dehydrated, or maybe if they hadn't eaten recently,
Oh.
perhaps?
He's probably not eating. I mean, well, I know he's not eating because he's sad because my wife's gone.
Oh.
Out of town. He's moping, and so he's making himself sick.
Yeah, it is good to have them eat if you can, like even like heading in treats that can also help. But then again, you don't need me telling you how to
Oh,
help your dog.
do you want me to come by in the days to check on him, Caleb?
If you want to tomorrow, I'm off Friday, Saturday, so I'll be out of town with him, so it shouldn't be a problem. But if you want to check on him tomorrow,
I'll try to do it in the morning.
All right, so since everyone's back, I can fully describe what we are looking at right here. I'm gonna move this back a little bit. As you are now fully stacked, you hear the sounds of sled dogs and the cries of familiar sounding creatures, kobolds, crying out in Draconic, "Slow down! Slow down!" You also, at this point, now see 3 sleds, one drawn by a woman, probably in her late 40s, early 50s, perhaps. Signs of age showing on her face as she takes down her winter mask. Wisps of white, short, curly hair break out from the hood. Perched on top of her shoulder is a perfectly white, snowy owl. It seems to tilt its head and observe you, every movement that you make. Surrounding this woman, that you can now see as she gets closer, which has an eye patch on her right eye, you see 3 groups of kobolds drawing and riding on similar sleds. At this point, now that they're getting closer, you recognize this group. This is the group that you saw riding out of Bremen all those days ago.
Savage, you're the head, so, you wanna talk to them? I'm gonna stick my nose back in the cloak.
hey, what's all the rush?
You see the woman slow down her sled and skids it right in front of you. Taking care to not have the snow spray in your direction. As the dogs settle and she steps off from the sled, she snaps her fingers. And 2 of the kobold figures that you now see, who look slightly decomposed, as 2 kobold zombies come out from the come off of the sleds and slowly shamble their way over to her and fetch something for her. It appears to be a walking stick of some kind. As she kind of grasps that and seems to be more for show than anything else, she walks forward with that stick in tow. She looks at you. Well, I hope I'm not too late. As for what's the rush, well, I happen to be searching for something. You happen to see a druid nearby, have you? One who belongs or serves the Frost Maiden?
She came and she's dead.
Wonderful, wonderful. I don't suppose I could inspect the body, if you wouldn't mind.
I don't see why not.
Most excellent.
We pilfered that, right?
You did, yes. As she walks by, you can see her wrist kind of twitching a little bit, and she gives you a polite nod and kind of stumbles over. She crouches down and whispers a little something as she waves her hand over the body. Let me double check something here.
Oh, bunnies! They do stuff!
Double checking.
Put stuff on them!
Did I ever do the ceremony spell on that body?
I believe you did.
Ah, I did.
Yes, I believe you did, yes.
I have it posted up there, so I'm sure that's what I did it on. I think I immediately went over and I was like, let's not have that thing move anymore.
You can hear her curse under her breath and mutter a little bit in irritation. I see. Well, no matter. I didn't need that body anyway. She starts rifling through the effects, which you had already pilfered. It comes up empty. She frowns for a second, and kind of thinks for a second, smiles, and turns to you. Might I ask you a question? Sir? Madam?
Sir, go for it.
Sir. When you came across this body, are you the one that killed him?
Yes.
Ah, yes, excellent, excellent. She doesn't doubt you at all. She seems to take what you say immediately face value, although she can see that she's in deep thought, and you can see that what you now think to be a nervous twitch in her left hand, a little tremor, gets a little bit more apparent and a bit stronger as she gives a little smirk and then looks back to you. I don't suppose among this deceased druid's effects you happen to have found a white book wrapped in fox fur?
No, no book. Found some other baubles, but nothing impressive.
I'll reach up and kind of tug at Meepo and Skanuk and be like, "Hey, we know where her lair was, right? If this person's looking for something of hers, maybe we can, you know,
Maybe.
show them that cave."
Are we sure that's a good idea, though? Let's find out what she's up to.
Good call.
She stands there patiently. She thinks for a second as she considers what you've told her. A little lip twitch for a moment. Unfortunate. I was so hoping that she had it on her. No matter. My search continues then. Good day. And then she gets on the sled, unless you stop her.
She had a lair.
She stops. Oh? And where would that be?
Couple hours travel into that old forest of Lonelywood.
Interesting. Could you describe this place?
It's kind of a cavern-like place. Steps leading up to it. Empty coffin outside. Kind of a moon dial-like thing in front of it.
She considers what you've said. Brings out a tiny little notebook and starts flipping through it, scribbling some notes. That will have to be something I'd look into, perhaps, but that will have to be for later. I don't think that corresponds with my information. Thank you for what you've told me, though. Might I have your name?
Savage.
Savage. Perhaps we'll meet again, Savage.
Probably. Kind of a big name around here.
Big name. She kind of squints her eyes. I don't know the name, but I certainly have heard of you. The giant of Eldath is one that I've heard quite often.
Yeah, same thing.
I haven't paid too much attention to it, but... Well, I suppose I've been too busy in my own pursuits to look too much into you. No offense.
None taken.
That said, and she kind of closes her little notebook and puts it in a satchel. She takes her owl and puts it as it perches on her fingers and kind of throws it up into the air. And the owl flies into the forest overhead. Perhaps I might require your services at some point in the future. But not now. I have things I must attend to. Intriguing to make your acquaintance, though. Very, very interesting.
What's her name? Ask her name.
I've given you my name. What's yours?
Make a persuasion check. With advantage, I'll say. Let's see here. 14. She thinks for a moment and then smiles. Well, I suppose that's only fair. My name is Velen. Velen Harpel. Because you seem like such an interesting person, I can tell you that I'm a member of the Arcane Brotherhood from Luskan. My family has quite an influence there. She seems to linger for a moment, as if that name might have meaning towards you, which to you, Savage, it would not. And she seems to be disappointed.
Sounds kind of fancy.
She seems slightly disappointed, but kind of nods her head. Well, as introductions have been made, I do hope that we do meet each other again. Until then, though, and she gets on the sled, farewell, and good luck. And she snaps on her reins, and with that, she takes off with her dogs, and the kobolds who had just started unloading and starting to get ready to leave to stay for a bit start to panic as their, we assume, master is leaving without them. It's like, no, Miss Harpel, wait! Ah, jeez! And they all start panicking and running around to pack things back up, giving her a good minute head start at most, and they as well start. One of them starts heading out. Of course, I'll be more than happy to spell out her name in chat. Give me a
Also,
second.
would Canuck have known her? Recognized her?
You, Skanuk, would have, because she was made acquainted with you when you took your test in the Arcane Brotherhood. She was not overseeing your test, but she was present.
Ah.
So you would be very familiar with her. So go ahead and make a history check to see how familiar exactly. Let's see how much you know.
Would it be with advantage?
Nothing.
I'd say with advantage, because natural one, you would at least know something. Okay, 8.
8.
He was not paying attention.
He wasn't. He had
He
other
was
things going
taking
on
a
that day.
test.
So that is how her name is spelled. So let me see. What can I tell you with that? You at least know she is the member of the prestigious Harpel family, based in the town of Longsile near Luskan. What else can I tell you? Let's see. I suppose the only other thing that you would know about her is that there were some mages, part of the Brotherhood, who were gossiping about her and her family's connection to the Arcane Brotherhood. Specifically, in that it's rumored that she only got the position that she has because of her family's influence. And it's like puts a right stick in her craw about it. That's pretty much the only thing I can give you, unfortunately.
Hey.
Yeah, you see, you probably already thought of her name as being a bell end. Yeah, so with that, you are all left to your own devices again. It's at this point that you hear coming from inside one of the houses. Is it over yet? Can we come out now? Yeah, can we
Are
come
we?
out?
Are we good? I think everything's
Huh?
fine out here. Did we need to do anything else before they come out?
Now we were done. Maybe some like healing or something.
I can do that from in the coat.
Ooh.
I'm curious about the specifics of that.
Well, I mean, I'm touching all 4 of them, really. So if there's any touch spells, I can do that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about people in the village to heal. Sorry.
Oh,
I
no.
misunderstood.
I mean, healing us, because we're the ones injured.
Right, of course. Then that would easily be doable. Ignore me for
Right.
misunderstanding.
I'm
just gonna use my channel divinity.
now imagining we end up with a reputation as being some sort of bizarre multi-class of barbarian, cleric, and artificer.
With some
Barbarian,
weird
cleric,
giant
artificer, fighter, 4 subclasses.
Yeah, with some weird giant magic in between.
Right, that's from the fighter.
Exactly.
Wisdom modifier is 5.
While you're doing that, the people slowly start
12.
to make their
Everyone
way.
gets 12 health.
12. Ooh, that's a good amount.
That is a good amount.
Take
Especially
it.
since that's about half of my health.
Here, let me
And I had about half of my health.
let me bring the map over to back towards the village so you can
Visualize.
visualize and heal yourselves back up easily.
That is actually the perfect amount of health to bring Sparks full.
I could have done one better, but that would have been enough to heal me. But as it stands, I'm fine.
Ow. Update to my microphone again.
I think I still have. I had Sanctuary on. I don't have Sanctuary anymore. I dropped concentration for sure.
Well, Sanctuary isn't concentration to begin with, so.
Right. The minute would be up then.
There you go.
I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, it's gone for sure.
Alright, so, one by one, the villagers make their way out of their houses. You see a couple with black eyes from possibly being hit by some ice and hail
Don't
that
look
made it
up
through.
at the ceiling.
Yeah, some that fell through the ceiling, but otherwise are unharmed. And eventually, Nimsy Huddle, the little halfling speaker of Lonelywood, approaches you with with a gigantic tray of cookies, and with
Breast
each of her
baking.
with each of her children behind her, each carrying an individual tray of their own, and are coming right to you. Ah, by the stars! I had hoped that you would survive. I was secretly afraid that you would be overwhelmed, but you did so much with just one person. I can barely believe it. The power of Eldath truly is with you.
And the faith of good people.
Yeah. The villagers all kind of like cheer and like kind of pump their hands. They all start cheering in your name. And eventually, like it begins quietly, but slowly develops into an uproarious noise that Nimsy eventually has to quiet so she can speak. I don't think there really is much we can do to thank you for what you've done. But what we can do is make you an honorary member of the community. And with that, that old woodshed that we used to get all the wood from, that's been abandoned for some time. Well, it used to be a house before we used it for storage, so little bit of a fixer-upper, but if you want to make it your home, we can certainly help you out with that.
Give me a couple days to think about it, and I'll definitely get back to you on that.
Aye, fair enough. But I think I've had my fill of sugar. I think I'm ready for some protein. And she looks towards she and the villagers all look towards the two bears that have been killed. If you haven't had bear meat before, and I haven't either, but I hear it's interesting.
It is it's a lot tougher than beef, even ground. But it's much redder.
You have to spice it just right, otherwise it's just way gamey.
Aye. But considering it's 10 towns and with everything going on in the Dale, you don't think they're too picky about it.
Right.
But they all start taking and cutting meat from the two bears, and skinning what left is there of the animals. Of course, they assume that you harvested some, and of course, took that as your due right to it, since you were the ones who protected them. So they of course think that is just right.
We are the ones who defended against friggin' Wolf D-Day over here.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. They think
That was so bad.
They think that is more than fair. And with that, though, you are eventually left alone. But of course, a couple people occasionally coming your way and giving small prayers and thanks to you. The gratitude is palpable. It's just a warm, fuzzy feeling that just envelops you as all these people surround you and thank you one by one. They eventually have to be pried away by their families, as they all have to have things that they need to do. But now, you are alone again, once again. Oh, I should add that you now have let's say 10 days worth of cookies.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, there you go. So it's a lot of cookies. It's a veritable sack. One would even say a Santa Claus sack of cookies, but why would I don't know why I made that comparison. Certainly not for any reason. Certainly not referencing C.S. Lewis putting Santa Claus in. Never mind. Anyway,
I think we get it.
I know. Sorry,
That
I'm
could be
making
like an
it too long.
amazing.
Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
That could be like an amazing high-level artificer shenanigan to get up to, is to have like a bunch of, really minor magical trinkets. You'd have to you'd have to figure out a way around the actual magical tinkering rules because they're terrible. But make a bunch of silly stuff like toy ducks that actually wheel around, and rocks that light up or something, and actually be Santa Claus in D&D.
There's a UA racial feats that has an added bunch of stuff for rock gnomes.
That would
Let's
be pretty
see.
fun. In any case, though, I would ask you what your next course of action is.
Well,
Because you currently don't have any leads that you know of, save for maybe going to Kelvin's Cairn, but You could ask around the town. You could perhaps even. There is a tavern that is available for you to rest in and perhaps gather information if you so wish. But what happens next is up to you.
Hmm.
I would say with the one of the Frost Maiden's acolytes gone, we'll probably be seeing more activity of her other. So I think if we went, yeah,
Are we still in our stack, or where are we?
Still in your stack. You were left alone in the middle
Right.
of the town.
I think going back to the secret inn would be a great place to gather some information if we wanted it on any movements of.
I think we should accept the shack here, just as a secondary base or hiding spot. And I'm also wondering if, at this point, if they would just accept us as kobolds, we could unstack in this town. If they'd keep our secret, you think? Or is that a bit risky?
Well, we did save all their lives.
Twice.
I think if we're gonna do it at all, now would be the time, right?
Maybe we ought to do it in front of the village head first, and then see what she says.
Yeah, alright, that works.
Do we want to have her come meet us at the shack, and then unstack inside so nobody else can see it?
That sounds like a good place to start, I guess.
Okay. So, you decide to head to this inn then, the old shed. I say it's a shed, but really, from what Nimsy told you, it's basically an inn that was closed down, essentially, and is now used for lumber storage. So it is actually a decently sized building. But I assume you are heading there then.
Unless somebody
think
has an objection.
Nope.
Indeed.
I
Okay.
guess it's up, in the end, it's up to Hawksville to make that call.
He's the legs. He goes where he wants. Alright, let me see here. So I'm just going to write something out really quickly. Alright, so you have been to this shed before. It has been is basically a shed for wood storage. However, to better describe what it looks like, it clearly has not been like repaired. Like there are like broken windows. There are some bits of the roof that are caved in slightly, been slowly patched up to keep the wood safe from the elements inside. But it is in fact a 2-story building. It is 20 feet wide and 30 feet long, essentially. So 20 by 30 base. The base has there's like the remnants of a bar, but like most furniture has already been stripped and used for other things because it's been abandoned for so long. The second floor has 5 rooms above, each one empty, and of course no furniture. So how are you going to send word to Nimsy to meet you?
I mean, we could go in the stack and ask her to come with us.
that makes sense.
That is a possibility.
I mean, we could always just, like, introduce ourselves in her house. If it
Sonar's been walking around. Well, she probably
Ah.
doesn't speak Elvish, does she? Especially
Sonar-
not ancient Elvish.
Sonar, who's been kind of like waiting beside you this whole time, just goes, ah, and just.
We
wants
could
to-
write a note and send it with Sonar.
Yeah, I could do that. I can use Master Tinkering for that kind of thing.
I have a scrimshaw pen here. All we need is some paper.
Well, you're just in luck, because I've got some
Alright,
paper
your
here.
notes.
Let me see. Are any of these not important?
There's
Oh.
that one about eternal life. That one's probably not important.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So
What?
conjecture.
So, you write that.
Involves turning oneself into a cloud or something. Oh, I'm referencing giant lore. I'm definitely referencing giant lore.
I know. I thought the way you did it was quite clever. I liked it. But so you write out the letter, you give it to Sonar, and he goes out and to deliver it himself. So you wait around an hour, and eventually, Sonar comes back with Nimsy in tow. She has a bit of a curious look on her face. You can go ahead and make an insight check.
I think I know what that is. She couldn't communicate with them.
Yeah, even with your 12 savage, yeah, you would all gather that she is probably as she is probably a natural speaker and socialite, probably slightly disturbed that couldn't get a word out of Sonar, you imagine. Probably a little bit put off, not necessarily in a bad way, but like just
Concerned for him
yeah,
as much as for anything else.
yeah. But she does walk up to you. She goes into the establishment, and she's like, "All right, you wanted to meet me, so what can I help you with?"
Be Savage talking because he'd be the head.
At this point, does that really matter?
Well, we'd be unstacking for her at this point, so you'd probably want to at least we'd have talked about this, I'm assuming, during that hour. At least let her in on it slowly instead of like immediately being, "Hey, we're sick 5 kobolds."
I've not been honest with you,
Oh,
or anyone, mostly.
what haven't you been honest with me about? As you then proceed to slowly, from her perspective, she hears a bunch of belts and buckles like Velcros unsnapping, belts unbuckling, metal ringing. And just look of pure confusion comes across her face, and then the being that is the giant of Eldas starts to come apart, and she starts to scream, "Oh my god!" And then she sees the kobolds, and then she goes, "Ah!"
Oh, careful.
Settle down.
We're fine.
It is so good to have another place where we can not be all stacked up like that.
I'm sorry if I startled you. My name is Meepo Molo. I am a cleric of Eldath.
So I have to make a roll real quick.
Should we like persuasion or something to calm her down?
Because well, first let me tell you what you see immediately. She looks like she's about to faint. So I will say roll persuasion.
I'm just gonna calm emotions on her.
Oh. And she's a humanoid, so yeah, okay, yeah, okay. So let's see.
What if she hadn't been? What if we discovered right now that she was some sort of fae or some shit?
I'd adopt her.
All right, so that is a charisma saving throw. Let's see here. That's an 8. She fails.
Yeah, she fails. So she's calmed.
Okay, so you can see as she starts to look a little bit woozy, and she's like, "How is it? Hi, but you were hi." Oh.
Here, have some water. Have some water.
All right. So you bring her a little cup of water. She takes it, taking it like a hard drink. Like she is by the time to the spell calmed, but her nerves are still a little shot. There's a little tremor in her hand. But as the spell slowly weaves itself in, she breathes. She contemplates. You can see the gears turning in her head, putting everything together. Wait, if this is true, then she like goes back to every interaction she's ever had with you mentally in her head. You imagine, and then she like replaying every single moment, thinking, how the fuck did I miss this? But this, of course, gives you time to explain at this moment as she processes all this at once.
Skanak, you want to explain what the idea behind this was, since it was mostly yours?
Oh, well, you know, kobolds ain't exactly very welcome around these parts, and it kind of got tiresome getting kicked all the time. So figured, hey, maybe if we just stood on top of each other, a nice big coat, and we could pass as a dragonborn or something. No one ever expects the stack.
I see. I don't think anyone would have been smart enough to see through. Well, maybe a few people.
I think kids are the ones that we have the most trouble with.
Kids like to touch. Oh, believe me, I know that too well. Kids like to touch. They like to pull. They like to prod. My God.
You should see the inside of this coat. All the straps and supports and stuff. It's a marvel of engineering.
Boy, if I actually hadn't had control of my children,
Pat Skanak on the back.
I would have known right there and then that you were. Oh my goodness.
You were a bit distracted. There was a lot going on.
It's true. She kind of thinks for a minute. While this is happening, go ahead
To
and
be
roll persuasion check. For
No
me,
one's
Nico.
figured this out. So far, no one has ever figured it out.
No one, not a single person.
Right. Not that we know of. No one's
Well, that's true.
confronted us on it.
No one's called us on it.
I have from the town with the mine, I have the
Okay.
documentation of employment that could kind of clarify that we're associated with them, and I want to present that as well and be like, and just so you know, other people who have seen us like this seem to think we're pretty okay too. So
She, as you're kind of talking Meepo and everyone kind of helping along, she nods and she slowly. There's a slow. It's very slow, but there is a slow acceptance. She thinks, you can tell she is thinking heavily about all the things that you have done for her and her village, and with. You imagine she probably would have fainted by now because of the reveal and the shock of it, but the calm emotions really helped you out here. I will tell you that. And she takes the paper and she looks it over. I suppose that is. I suppose, yes. Lords have mercy. I never would have thought of it. Kobolds, stacking on top of each other, like a bunch of kids. Oh, I never thought I would live to see the day. A bunch of kobolds helping out people like that. I hope you can forgive me. I must sound like a horrible person. I never expected the kobold to be so generous, helpful. I hope you can forgive me. I thought kobolds like you were vermin.
That's understandable. Our lifestyle is rather different from yours, generally speaking. And history has not been kind to the kobold people.
Yeah, it hasn't. And to be fair, kobolds haven't been too kind to us either, stealing things here or there. But I digress. True, we have not been kind to each other, I will say.
I'm hoping that'll change someday. Eldath willing. And she is.
So the Eldath thing was not a lie then, from what I've heard. You really do
Right,
worship.
it was a stretch. I'm the main one who's involved with Eldath, but I see my friends are coming around to the light.
See, I thought that was strange because I assumed so. You're the one I spoke to first, pointing at you, Savage. You seem too. I don't mean this in any offense. Gruff, violent, to be
That he
an
is.
Eldath.
I don't profess Eldath at all.
Right, he's the one I'm working on.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I genuinely don't know what to say. This is such a shock. I thank you for trusting me to tell me this, I suppose. Praise Eldath indeed.
Our goal from here on out is to actually be able to get out of this stupid coat.
At least in this town.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. You keep helping out people the way you have been. And from what I've heard in Tourmaline, I, like I said, if you'll forgive me, I thought it was strange and silly that they were letting kobolds, work in the town. But if that's true, you might be closer than you think.
Right, so just in case, if you ever have to come in here for one reason or another and you see a bunch of kobolds running around, you won't have a fit, hopefully.
Right, that's something I'm concerned about. I can't. I assume you want me to keep this secret for now, from the rest of the villagers.
Well, given your reaction, I think that's probably the best idea for now.
She slowly nods. Right. No, right, righty. Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Well, for now, keep to what you're doing, but I'll see what I can do around town. Maybe I'll try and change some minds. She kind of thinks to herself for a minute.
Right, and once this whole thing with winter is done, hopefully we're gonna be able to do something about that in the long term. But once it's done, maybe instead of sacrificing one thing or the other here and there for that god, you can give offerings of peace to other peoples like the kobolds, and that would help them. They wouldn't have to worry about stealing things from people, and you'd have something to. It'd be kind of like an offering to Eldath, but a peace offering between people.
Make another persuasion check, this time with advantage. Not bad at all. You can see there is hesitation in her eyes. But she thinks for a minute. She nods to herself. I'll see what I can do.
Doesn't have to be much. Here and there a little bit.
Aye.
What you can spare. Kobolds are pretty ingenious. They can use little pieces that you can't find a use for, so that little bit of junk you have sitting in the corner here, that little broken piece of wood over there, you could probably even give those to the kobolds and they'd be mighty thankful.
Or even some freshly baked cookies?
Yeah, I can see that being a hit. For sure. Right, Savage?
She gives a bit of a smile. Go ahead, Caleb.
Huge fan of those cookies.
She gives a big, beaming smile at that. Well, at least I know my cookies are a hit. Alright, honest opinion. I know one of you liked it. How do all of you feel about my cookies? Good? Bad? Does it need to be worked on?
They've been delicious and useful.
She claps her hands, rubs them together. Excellent.
Just gives a thumbs up.
Well, at least I know I don't need to improve my recipe all that much. That's good to know.
I have a question for you. Someday, when we're out in the open and people see us walking through the town and recognize us as who we are, could I play with your kids? They sound really cute and haven't been able to do anything.
She gives a wide smile at that. Honey, I would love to. As soon as all this mess is over, you're more than welcome to stop by anytime you like. I just worry... I worry that my kids might... They might think you're like dogs, and they might want to pet you and hug you and think that you're adorable. So be prepared for that initial confrontation, but I'm sure you're aware of that. She kind of winces a little bit.
That doesn't bother me.
Alright, as long as you're fine with that. She gives her like the knowing mom look.
I'm small. I get it.
Yeah, Skunnock, you just have just all these flashes and visions in your mind of kids accidentally taking one of your one of your inventions and then blowing themselves up with it.
Yep. Okay. It's like those kids who like try to make a raccoon a pet, but the raccoon has a knife.
Exactly. Wait, let me switch the.
It's happened.
Switch
It
back.
wasn't great.
Kids cornering Skunnock in the street. Here, put the trash can over it. Okay, now what are we gonna do?
Exactly.
Skunnock's going, I have a box cutter. I will cut through the trash can and get out the back, and they will never know.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, I suppose you have things you need to do then. I suppose. So I'll get back to it then myself.
Right, it is pretty
Right.
late.
Aye, that it is. Tell you what I can do though. I have a few extra beds. I can have moved over here if you want to stay the night. Least I can do.
I could do with some rest.
That'd be nice.
I'm sure you all do. After the hell as you've been through. I saw that carnage out there. You're no slouches. That's for sure.
Right. I'll bet it makes a little more sense having beat all those animals with more than one, though.
That is true. She kind of nods and thinks to herself. Well, let me get everything set up, and I'll be back. She kind of claps her hands and, with still holding the cup of water. Let's see. How long does calm emotions last?
I think it's a minute, maybe 10 minutes. Let me double check.
It is concentration up to a minute.
She just
a minute.
steps outside and immediately faints. Just ah!
If she
She in fact
faints,
does.
she'd probably faint in the room.
She turns around, takes 10 steps, and then her knees buckle, and then falls over on her face.
I gotta try to grab her.
All right, go ahead and make a dexterity check.
Dexterity. Not with advantage. Okay.
Oh, no.
9. You get up like right behind her and you grab her midsection and she just boom, her head hits the ground anyway.
Oh, no.
It's snow.
But I'll say that you get her awake again, and she because you've explained everything and because you rolled really high in persuasion, you managed to get her back up, and she does the task that she said she would do. She rallies up some of the villagers who put together some makeshift beds. They kind of give Nimsy a side glance when she says to bring more than one bed, but she assures them that she tells the villagers that you, the Giant of Eldath, might wish to remake the inn what it used to be. So that's her excuse, as it were. So now you have beds for each and every one of you, and even a nice little section of the old tavern where Muerte can stay. Nice little hay pile in the corner.
The lair.
Exactly, the lair of Muerte Blanca.
This is a shadowy
Terror of the
corner with a
tundra.
pair of glowing red eyes.
Just it's like a cat at night. Like you flash the light and you just see the light reflecting back at you, but it's red.
And like 7 feet off the ground.
Exactly.
And when it comes out, you just see like a thin line that's vertical just kind of poke out the axe head of its beak.
Like,
And then the face glowing in the torchlight, blood dripping from the end.
and then she unleashes her battle cry. Ah!
And then it's over. At that point, you have no recourse.
That's the last thing you hear. And you're gone.
It was so fun creating Muerte. I'm sure you can see why. But in any case, you all drift to sleep. And before the dawn breaks, let me see here. Let me double check something. Flip through the sacred texts for a specific piece of information. Let me see, where is it? Ah, here we go. So, as you all settle down for the night, Savage, as you rest for the night, you slowly rouse from your sleep. You have gotten a full night's rest. So you all at this point have the effects of long rest. No interruptions. But Savage, you are the first one to awaken. Specifically, because of the sharp pounding pain in your skull. You hear a familiar sound etching itself into your mind. But the message is different this time. Nautiloid down. Emergency protocols enabled. Crew safe. Vessel imperiled. Psi crystal needed. Come at once. That message in deep speech is burrowing into your brain. And it repeats. Nautiloid down. Emergency protocols enabled. Crew safe. Vessel imperiled. Psi crystal needed. Come at once. That message itself repeats in your mind once again. And then the pain stops. And the rest of you awaken.
Long rest?
Long rest.
Okay, my spells are back.
I have the power.
Indeed. The one thing that does catch your attention, Savage, as the pain subsides, you still feel that cardinal direction of where that message is pointing you to go. Far to the south, near the edge of the spine of the world, the mountain range that separates the Dale from the south.
You alright, Savage? Did I miss some healing last night?
It's not you. I've been having this message repeated in my head over and over.
What's it saying?
Something about a crew being safe and a ship being in peril, and keep saying for someone to come immediately.
That's pretty strange. Have you ever been a sailor or part of a crew for something?
No.
Like, when you say like a vessel, wait, did he say what direction it was?
Did you
No,
mention
he didn't say anything about a direction.
Wait,
Would you have mentioned it though, Savage?
Probably not.
Okay. It's at this moment that you hear a on the door of the tavern, and you hear a honk, honk, honk as Muerte Blanca's rest is his beauty sleep is disturbed. So has a wrath. So has a wrath become manifest. She starts bonking on the door.
oh no. Contain the beast.
Savage, you wanna get that?
Honk! Sorry.
Okay, down.
All right, go ahead and roll an animal handling check with advantage. 21. At this point, Muerte and you share a connection. You share that savage bond between only two warriors can truly know, and as such, she acquiesces to your request, and you kind of stroke her feathers, getting her to calm down, kind of scritch underneath the beak, and she goes back into her corner and kind of like does like a couple circles around and sits like a chicken down into the hay, but just stares daggers at the door. But you do manage to keep her away from the door. So the question is, do you wish to stack before before opening said door?
Who is it?
You hear a you hear a very surly voice come out from behind the door. Someone who's in desperate need of help, please. And you hear three more voices kind of exhibit the same kind of cadence of urgency. Seems like there are four people in the door.
Let's stack up. Stack.exe initiated. Strap. Buckle. Ready.
All right. Yep. The whole roll. Did you hear what I said? And then as he finishes that sentence, he opened the door, fully stacked. So, what you see appear to be four 10-town villagers. You see a stocky-looking 30-year-old woman who appears to have a lot of traps and bags like around her person. You also see a tall, heavy-set, looks to be 33-year-old man. Very like callous knuckles, very salty-looking gentleman. You also see a younger gentleman, probably 25 years old. Looks very well off. Has like a very big fancy hat and a signet ring on one of his fingers. You also see a woman, relatively around 30 years old, probably, with ink-stained figures and several pouches and books on her side, all standing at the door. And the surly voice coming from the tall, heavy-set man, he kind of steps forward. Sorry to be a bother this early in the morning. We kind of looks towards the others. We have a problem that I think only you can truly help us with. You already helped us so much, so we were afraid to ask, but we are willing to reward you for it if you can't help us.
Go on.
It's difficult to explain. Miss Casca, perhaps you can explain? Yes, I can. You see the ink finger stained woman, coming forward. She brings out one of her books. Kind of flips through a few pages. My friends and we've for the past few months, or past couple months rather, we've been hearing strange sounds. But it's not hearing it per se. It's like it's in our
All in,
mind. What'd you say, Caleb?
all in your head?
Yes, exactly. The well-dressed man speaks up. It's so irritating. It gets within. It wriggles and wriggles in your mind like a little worm. It doesn't seem to quit. It hurts us so terribly when it happens. Just a bunch of gibberish nonsense that it's just so irritating. And poor Vida here kind of points towards the stocky-looking woman, the trapper-looking woman. Poor Vida over here is beside herself. Just go ahead, Vida. And the therefore named Vida kind of steps forward, kind of rubs her hand on her neck. It's true. Every few days, that message springs up through our minds. And for me, it's the worst because I just have these terrible headaches that mine's condition's a bit worse than the others. These splitting headaches just interfere with my work so often when I'm a trapper, you see. So I often go into the woods and try and hunt little animals to bring back as food, which of course, as you know, is difficult during these recent times. But thankfully, you fixed that for us, so I can really do it again. But I can't really do my job well if these distractions are getting in my way. So we were hoping that you could maybe find the source of whatever's going on. We can pay you. We scrounged up what we have together. We got about 250 gold pieces to give you if you can find the source and stop it. I wish we had a better lead for you to go on, but please, we're desperate.
How do you know their messages if you can't understand it?
I can help you with that. Miss the ink-stained finger woman known as Casca steps forward. I've written it down. What I heard. I have a pretty good memory. And I repeat back. I try and emulate what it sounds like, and the rest agree. We're all hearing the same exact message every time. I mean, it's gibberish, but it's the same kind of gibberish. We're sure of it.
Can you try sounding it out right now?
I can try. To her best of her ability, I'm gonna roll a check for her. Not bad at all. She actually rolled a 19. You can tell she's been practicing this for some time to try and get the feel of it just right. Just this horrible mishmash of terrible words and consonants and guttural growls and squeaks come from this woman's mouth. Like, it's almost scary how well she actually emulates it. But true to form, it's the exact messages that you've been hearing to a T. These people aren't messing with you. They are telling you the truth. And this is evidence of it now.
One last question. Have any of you found a pink pulsating gem?
You kind of look towards each other. No, I don't think any of us have. We've always been, well, we've always been sensitive to things like keener senses of hearing. You know, good for Miss Vida because she's a trapper. She's an expert at that. Nars has always been really good at reading people. Telvister, the fancy one, he's really good at. It's almost like he and Nars kind of share the same aptitude for reading people really well. And I just have these ideas that just come to me, and I'm a writer actually. I'm writing a mystery novel about a series of fictional murders in 10 towns, but definitely haven't gotten inspiration from any recently. Definitely trying to be as original as I can, but I seem to have, well, I've been told that I'm a bit more creative than usual, so I'm wondering if I don't think it's related to, is it a crystal? No, we haven't experienced that. Sorry.
Just a question. Okay. Well, I will see what I can do about getting around to this.
Yeah, I will say, as you're kind of talking with them, as they kind of mention that about themselves, you do feel a slight pulse from the gem. Go ahead and make me either an insight check or arcana check, whichever one you choose, whichever you think is better. As best as you can tell, well, they may not have had any influence with these gems as you have had. They might have some sort of, perhaps some sort of psychic sensitivity or psionic sensitivity. You think probably make them more sensitive to it, as best as you can tell. But that might be why they didn't need a crystal to sense it the way you did. But like I said, we're more than willing to pay you if you can find the source of it. And we can't tell where it's coming from though. That's the only thing. We can only hear it. But if you have any idea where to look for it, please.
I'll definitely let you know. Yeah.
Thank you. And they all kind of thank you one by one, and one by one they eventually leave, leaving you to your thoughts. Sorry, every time I do that, like the honking catches on your end. Sorry, Caleb.
No, you're good. Yeah. So I suppose we should stop ignoring this.
Yeah. Right, ignoring what?
Well, they repeated back to me the same message, crudely, but it's the same one I've been hearing. But they're not able to
Oh. Okay.
And we don't have a way of sending a message back.
What exactly does the message say?
I can read it necessary.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let me. So.
I mean, she wrote it down for you, so.
She did. I would say that she would have given you a little slip of paper with the notes. But the newest one is nautiloid down. Emergency protocols enabled. Crew safe, but vessel imperiled. Psi crystal needed. Come at once. And I can write it down in the chat so you have a physical description of it. But that is the gist of the message.
So it's those dreams.
Not dreams, just messages.
Double check my spelling. Don't want people on the internet making fun of my spelling. They always do. It's fine. There we go.
Making fun of or pointing out? There's a difference.
Pointing out also, the chat is not up to date on the stream. There we go. That's fixed. There we go. Got that problem fixed.
Give me like 3 minutes and I'll be right back.
3 minutes? Okay. In that case, perhaps a small break for all of us then. Why not? Like a 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's
Very
good
quick
time.
5-minute
I'd
break.
like to grab a beverage.
Yeah, grab some drinks.
Ever.
I just finished my tea, so this is perfect timing.
Hey.
Yeah.
Some nice water right there. So, what a strange mystery this is. A phantom message. Phantom signal. Curious. Very curious.
Wee.
Make a reply to it.
A theremin plays in the background.
It's the ancient alien theory sound cue that you know,
wait, you
that
mean the
whole.
X-Files?
I don't know where the origin of that is. I don't watch enough TV, honestly, to know, the specific place. But the one that you know what I'm talking about,
Yes.
the one that's always associated with spooky stuff, or aliens.
Yeah. Da 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 da.
Is that X-Files? I don't think I've ever seen the X-Files.
I've seen a couple episodes of it. It's a pretty decent show. I've only seen like the first season, I think. What I saw, I enjoyed.
Give me 1 second, I'll be right back as well.
Sure. Let's see. So while we're on break, let me switch up the music a little bit here. Get a little pizzazz. Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Let's see. What should I do in the meantime while I'm waiting? Who's still here currently?
I'm listening.
Even it's me, your boy.
Aha. I was gonna ask something during the break, but then I'm blanking. I'm blanking what I was going to ask. Darn. Well, that was anticlimactic. Never mind then. Beans. I honestly cannot remember what I was going to say. I hate when that happens. When you have a thought, right? Like you're about to say it, and then just poofs out of existence. Like you have literally just thought of it, and then you get distracted by something, and then it's just gone into the ether, the void, never to be seen again. Unless you have a stray thought, like 50 minutes later, like, oh, that would have been great if I remembered when I needed that information.
It's life.
Such is life. Such is life.
It's even worse when it's like something that you thought was like ingenious and brilliant and everyone should know about it or it was gonna like change your life. And then you're like, I need to write this down. And you go and find the paper, and once you have the paper in your hand, you're like, I don't even remember the topic.
Or, like, or even just as like, this isn't as good as I thought it was. And just crumple it up and just toss it
Yeah.
away.
That's more like what happens when it's like something you wrote down in the middle of the night, though. It's like you wake up, oh, that's brilliant, let me write it down. Wake up in the morning. That's mediocre.
I have a lot of thoughts like that, but specifically for D&D ideas, I have like a little app called Color Note, which is basically like post-it notes, but like just on my phone. If I have an idea, I just put it on there and then just forget it until I think, huh, I had an idea. Let me see if I wrote it down, and lo and behold, usually I do.
I really like. There's an app called Joplin for that I really like because then you can have it on your computer as well, and it'll just automatically synchronize.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Let me see what one of my notes
This
was.
is- I mean, in theory, it's for that, but really, it's so that like when I'm in the car not driving, I can still do some writing.
I have found that one of my biggest hangups in life is actually taking the time to write down something that goes through my head. I'll grab my notepad and I will sit down with it, and I will stare at the notepad for a few minutes, and then that's it. That's all that happens.
I've had that happen a couple of times to me, but usually I have to be very quick about it because otherwise, like if I don't write it down, I will lose focus and I'll think of something else, and then I'll lose the thought. And it's terrible every time that happens. Let me just like look randomly through the things that I put in this list. Oh yeah, all the merfolk gods and goddesses of my world that I put in there. Religions of Tharanon. What else do I have here? Ah, I have the. Hey, I have the post-it note. The original idea I had for that one shot I did for you, Mike, with Horinar and with Sharbex in it. That originally started.
Good old Sharbex.
Yeah, that one shot just started as a post-it note, as an idea that I really wanted to use, and I'm glad I got to do it with you. Let's see. Hey, Caleb, you back? Nope. Let's see here. Just randomly scrolling through what I got here. See, I'm seeing a lot of things information that I have for our other campaign, and I'm like, can't say that. Let's see. I had an idea for a hunger demon. I posted on.
For a hunger what?
A hunger demon.
I was thinking of like a great old one that's just based on hunger. A long time ago.
Yeah, well, you can see the hunger demon. Whether while you are within 50 feet of it, you're afflicted with painful hunger. While within this distance, you have disadvantage on attack rolls against the demon and cannot concentrate on spells. To alleviate this effect, you succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw at the end of your turn, or consume a ration which will temporarily relieve the effects.
Or temporarily, how long does that last?
So that will be basically every turn, essentially.
Ah, yes. That's what I figured.
Or I could even have it be a con save, even, because that sounds more up to speed with hunger, as it were.
Right. But would that eating the ration be an action?
No, that'd be. No, I'd say it's mostly just it's meant to be more of a resource drain as opposed to a
Right.
action.
Sounds like
Action resource. Not
sounds
action
like a
resource.
fine
physical
nemesis
resource.
for Louis.
A fine
It does
nemesis
sound like the perfect nemesis for Louis.
for a chef. Yeah, exactly.
Alright, you need to do another
Yeah.
one that'll be the nemesis for my mime character, because I'm gonna bring that thing to fruition.
Oh gosh. I should. I kind of want to.
I've been working on a mime character for years, and they released Tasha's, and the perfect combination came through with it.
Right. Oh, you're back, Caleb. I just heard something.
Yeah, I'm back.
Ah, excellent. In that case, is everyone back then?
I'm ready for more Meepo.
I'm here.
Alrighty. Michael, are you here?
I am here.
Yay. Alrighty dighty. So, now that we're back together, what is your next move?
Well,
I suppose I reveal the location that the transmission is being sent from.
Which direction was that from?
Specifically to the south. You don't have a pinpoint, like precise location of it, but you have a good guesstimate.
Have you had that information in other places? Like, were we somewhere else at some other point when you got that information? So we could kind of get a better direction from where we are now?
Ouch! Sorry, I smacked my microphone because there's a fly right there. Sorry.
Specifically, did we you ever have one of those messages while we were down in Bryn Shandor?
I don't even remember.
You did actually, for context, it has been a while. You do remember parts of the previous messages that you had received mentally. They did also point you in a general direction towards the spine of the world.
Where's the spine of the world? Okay.
So I would say if we start heading that kind of direction, that might it might even cause a signal or the message to be sent out more clearly or more frequently or something.
Oh, yeah. So from looking at this, from reading this message, now having like extra things, do I get any? Do any of us recognize like Nautiloid or Side Crystal?
You would have to make, I suppose,
Like, what
either
kinda-
history or arcana, but it will be a very, like, honestly, I'm thinking DC 25. That's how like hard a check this is gonna be. I would be upfront
It's
with you
a-
on that.
What kind of check though?
It'll be either history or arcana.
So Tox literally can't know, which is fine because I don't think he would.
Yeah, like I
It's
said,
not-
it'll be a difficult check to know.
Yeah, before nat 20. No.
I'm saying I would probably think even with a nat 20, unless you beat that 25, even then, like I'd probably give you a couple hints towards its origin, but even then.
Fair enough.
Okay, 3 and 6. Well, actually, the only one who might actually have a shot is you, Savage. Why don't you roll me one with advantage? Caleb? Oh, there you are. There, you know what? This makes the most sense out of everything. Let's switch things up a little bit.
I just heard the click that the Nintendo Switch does when you said switch things up. Click.
That's pretty funny.
Not like actually, but like in my head.
Savage. As you are trying to recall, your mind is suddenly pulled back to a worse time. You remember wandering the wastes of the Icewind Dale, wandering endlessly. And then eventually you came to the party, and they found you, and kind of nursed you back to health in a way. But you're remembering a time now from which you had tried your best to block out. You have these phantom memories of purple-skinned creatures and tentacles, of squelching noises and terrible. You feel phantom pain. You feel as if your very muscles are remembering the pain that you went through as a searing and burning into your skin. were a cage. And do you remember howls and squeaks of various creatures that you can't identify? And then as you finally, at one point, there is silence. There is an escape. And a brief mental image of a spiral shell-like shape crashed into the snow, and you slowly wandering away from it, trying to escape and to never return. And you're kind of brought back in that moment. There is some connection that you think you might have to this thing. You think to yourself. How does Savage respond, Caleb?
I remember what this is. We are going to be in a much bigger fight for our lives than Ravison could ever give us.
Are we ready for that? I don't feel ready for that.
Probably by the time we get there, we might.
Okay, hailstorms or no hailstorms? Because, that hurt a lot in a way that we couldn't do much about.
I doubt there will be hailstorms.
Okay, well, I'm a little more confident then.
Maybe in the tundra, but it's not magical. It's natural.
Right, that still would hurt, but we can watch the skies for that kind of thing.
I'm just saying, as long as there's, no boogity boogity boo and then ice falls on our heads sort of situation like what we went through yesterday, I'm a little more down for that then.
Can we expect wolves?
What?
Well, should we be expecting wolves?
In the tundra?
Well, I mean, with the big thing you're talking about. You were
Wolves?
rather vague.
No wolves.
Oh, okay, good.
Secretly thinking no mooses either, but
Right, no mooses, no wolves.
No
This
saber-tooth
is
tiger.
something other than animals.
No, these are much, much worse.
Oh, I was starting to feel comforted, but then that comforting feeling that went away.
As it should.
You're not too great at that comforting thing.
It'll let you keep your guard up. And you need that.
Can we get a little more information than just it's bad?
well,
Any descriptions or things we should be watching out for?
I think with your natural 20, let me see. Give me a moment. Let me look through something. You might remember something specifically. Let me check. Because of the natural 20, I will definitely give you something for that. If I can find the right page. There you are. Let's see. What might you remember? In your flashes of your own cage, you think, you recall in those moments of pain, there were other sounds, other screams matching yours, but more bestial. Definitely not humanoid like you. You gather you weren't the only prisoner or creature on that ship. For certain, there were beasts or monsters that were also prisoners of that ship. You know that for certain. You vaguely recall images of a creature with a kind of like a shield for a head in a way, like a domed beak like maw. You recall. Let's see here. Let me double check. Oh, ouch! Ow! Ow! Hit
You
my toe.
alright?
Hit my toe. I'm fine. Okay. All right.
That's no fun.
It is no fun. Right, we're in the middle of a good description too. That sucks. You also recall twin maggot-like creatures, but definitely not the size of maggots. More like the size of a horse. Terrible creatures with spindly, tentacle-like feelers and carapaced maw. You also remember those purple-skinned creatures with long tentacles for near their mouths. And that's as much as you can remember.
Right. This is starting to sound like that thing we found in the mines.
Well, that is where Savage found the crystal.
That's true.
What does that tell us?
Tentacles? If it has tentacles, kill it.
Okay, fair enough.
Sounds like a plan to me.
I think that's the best way to keep the peace regarding this situation. It doesn't seem like they're peaceful here, as far as I can tell.
They are not peaceful.
Alright, well. Just to clarify, we're working off the assumption that as we approach, it'll be easier for Savage to track it, right?
That's a
Strong.
theory, yes.
That's what we're working with, at least. We don't know if it's the case or not.
Okay. I guess we can saddle up and do that then. Was kind of hoping to visit Kelvin's cairn, but
Is
I
that
think
on the way or is that out of the way?
I think that's the other way.
Oh, it's true. If only we could go there first, but it sounds like this is something more pressing.
well, I think that a certain somebody that I look up to would probably go with the thing that is affecting the most people and solve the problems. So,
I think that's something that a certain somebody that I look up to would do too.
Well, in that case, what preparations would you like to make before you set out to the south? If any.
so first things first, I have all sorts of pelts and claws and teeth and stuff. I want to see about getting money for that.
Sure. Let's say roll just a general persuasion check to see what he can get off of it. Just a general kind of trading thing. Okay. Well. I will say this is kind of aided because because you wouldn't be the head here. So go ahead and re-roll that.
So we got Felice.
Okay. Yeah, because this makes more sense because you wouldn't be the head in this situation. You would be kind of like guiding Savage in this case to make the arrangement. Okay, with a 19, I would say that you could probably get maybe with all those pelts like 50 gold out of all of that. But if you wanted to if you wanted to trade for something of equal value, that is also the case.
So I've got two bear pelts and the saber tooth pelt, and then I have the claws and teeth from the bears.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I wanted to actually see if I could potentially get enough material in trade to maybe make something out of the frozen fangs.
I see. Well, if you wanted to trade all your pelts, and given the fact that you did a great service for the town, you could probably, um, you could probably make daggers, or maybe even a single short sword out of those fangs.
Would the pelt of the tiger be useful for making something that resists frost?
Hmm. Probably not. But I'd
Yeah.
say if you wanted to use that in the creation of the whatever the daggers, like whatever the weapon would be with the fangs, that could probably add to it since it came from the same creature.
All right, well, who needs weapons?
I'm good. I don't need
I
any.
have yet to use a weapon recently, so I don't think I need one right now. Been doing all right without it, I think.
I'm never gonna. I'm not much to turn down a good shanker, but if it, I guess we could also just sell it, or you could use it if you want it.
Well, the other thing I wanted to ask is if I use the fangs as the heads, can I potentially make another pair of javelins?
You could. Also, because it is a pointed thing, it could also be used as the tip of a lance as well, or even like a pike or spear.
I think the javelins are more what I would be looking at, but yeah.
Okay, no. If you want to have them be made as javelins, that could certainly be doable.
All right, and that's all the teeth, claws, and pelts as well.
Yes, so basically with all the pelts included, and plus the fact that you helped the town, that the pelts would be included in that offer essentially, as like part of the trade.
Okay. And so I will use my smith's tools, theoretically, to sit down and make a pair of javelins out of that.
Okay.
I
Should
will.
I use my blessing emboldening bond, or should I save that for something more dire?
How often can you do that?
Twice right now, I think.
Snuck will also
How
be helpful. Sorry.
Of course, yes, you would definitely be helping the good old kobold smith duo. You
All
know,
right.
versus the
So
weapons guy.
what do I need to roll with some help from Skinnock?
The number of
So,
times equals my proficiency bonus, so 3 times.
oh, that's good to know. So,
Look at that. It goes
Skinnock,
up.
you can make an intelligence check, Skinnock, to make out the base
That's
schematics using your spitz tools, and you,
Oops.
I'm gonna
uh,
use it on Skunnock and Hawks.
okay,
Right?
okay,
Uh,
19. So Skinnock, you start mapping out the basic blueprints. Like you imagine, like okay, this is where
I
it will
guess
go. This is where
Skunnock, Hawks, and
23. So
Savage, just out of
23.
adding
Okay,
the third person.
so you have a very good idea of how this will go. And so with that base, you have advantage on this next check because of the well laid out base. You get a good idea of what Skanuk has in mind to make this the basically the because it's using biological materials in a way, but with some magical enhancements. You get the right sense of balance of what you might need. So go ahead and make a Smith's Tools check, but using your strength.
All right, an advantage. And I have the emboldening bond as well. 25.
Okay, so with those checks, it takes you the better part of the day to do so. Given the fact that weapon crafting is not a fast thing, but with that, you now have 2 Bloodfang javelins.
All right.
So, I will say because you crafted them, you know what they do. So as a Bloodfang Javelin, they get an extra d6 of cold damage. And a creature that is struck by them, I'll write this down as well. That's a 1d6 cold extra damage.
Because you die.
Exactly, this is the plain Gia getting its way into Rime of the Frost Maiden.
Right.
So DC. So it's a lower-ish DC, but DC 13 con save, or be only able to take one action or bonus action, not both, and can't use reactions.
Oh, it's like a slow.
It is like a mini slow.
And the good thing about weapon DCs is that, like, if you hit, you can make something roll that against that DC multiple times in a turn.
Right.
So it's not.
Unless
It's
it
okay
says
if they're a bit lower.
specifically if it resists it's immune again, but
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, so it can repeat the save on each turn as well.
that does make it more balanced.
There we go.
Does it do this save at the beginning of its turn or the end of its turn?
I believe it's the end of the turn for the spell slow. That's kind of what I'm basing it off of.
Okay.
So there you go. You have two of these at your disposal. How do you like that?
I like it very much.
All right. So that is the better part of the day to do so. You have, I'd say at this point in time, it is probably mid-afternoon, probably 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I imagine.
Is that like I can't believe I'm going to actually suggest this, but is there an axe we could get around town that I could maybe attach to the bird?
The bird doesn't need an
mentioned?
axe on it.
You know,
It already has an axe on it.
I just had this
Better
thought. You wanted tusks to put on the boat, right?
Right?
What if you put the javelins on the boat as the tusks?
Yes, jousting.
And I imagine Hawks would
We
want to
should
use them
we
as
should
javelins.
put like little spots on the front that are like
slots.
you know what they put flagpoles in?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just little brackets to hang it in. Sconces. Just get sconces, small sconces to put the javelins in.
Hawks has 4 of the chitin javelins from the Dwergar as well.
True, you
Right,
do.
and we can switch them out to the chitin javelins and use the slow javelins to actually fight if we want to, but either way.
Now, I would say it would only count as one attack if you decide to use it, but the
True.
damage dice would be, I would say it would be double
2d6, right?
2d6 instead of just the 1d6 for that.
Right.
That's how I would rule that.
I mean, I don't mind.
Sure, this is just me giving you cool things because I think it's fun.
And because kobolds make cool things.
Yeah, why not?
Donation.
Well, Hawks is pretty happy with this javelin and is going to hold on to at least one of them pretty vigorously.
Well, yeah, we can use
We're
the
not gonna
normal
stop you
javelins.
from doing that. Right.
We can use the normal javelins for ramming speed, but
I like the name Walrus better. Because
Sure.
it's amphibious and it's got tusks.
I feel like ramming speed is already taken as well. So
Right, I think I've heard that one. I think another kobold group used that one.
Meanwhile, in a different campaign, the Arcane Lyceum mages sneeze. Achoo!
Well, does anyone else want the other javelin since there's 2 of them?
I already got the spell, I think.
let's see. I guess I could use it with catapult.
Look.
Well, you helped me make these, so you might as well get a hold of one of them, right?
if you want them both, you can, because I've got crossbow and gun. But yeah, I'll probably just use what I got.
The power of God.
I already got lots of stuff.
All right. Then Hawks will hold on to them both.
All right.
But you can throw one and use one.
All right. So that would have taken a good amount of time. So while both Skanuk and Hawks are doing that, what would Savage be doing to prepare during that time?
An excellent question. I'd probably why not? Let's do some sparring with Muerte.
Okay. Okay. Let's say. You know what? Hang on. I think I have some rules for this. 1 second. There are rules for sparring in Xanathar's guide. Give me 1 second. I'm going to find this. I'm going to use that as a basis for you sparring with Muerte. So let's see here. Tools, sources, source books. Xanathar's Guide to Everything. There we go. And downtime activities. Pit fighting. There we go. So there will be no money based off of this, but this will simply be a thing you do with each other. So, what I would like you to do, Savage, I would like you to make 3 checks. A strength athletics check, a dexterity acrobatics check, and a constitution check, and add onto that last check, the con check, a bonus equal to a roll of your largest hit die.
That should not have been an advantage, but it's still a 19 since it's the first one.
Yep, still a 19. Alright, so let me find Muerte's stats.
And what was the last check?
So a constitution check, and add on a roll of one of your hit die.
Okay.
Well, of course, keeping the hit die, doesn't spend it. Oh, jeez. Let's see if Muerte stands a chance. Oh, so okay, first round, she holds her own. Second round, not so much. Do 9, and then plus whatever bonus she had wouldn't have mattered because you rolled a natural 20. So, you spend the better part of the day training with Muerte. You try and teach her. You said the problem with Muerte is that while she has the strength and she has the rage that dwells within, she lacks the control that you have. She thrashes wildly around, and while she has the strength, she's able to knock you down a couple times with pure animalistic strength in the first round. You manage to dodge out of her way of several of her attacks in the coming rounds, until eventually you're able to overpower her by sheer will alone. And I'll say, I'm going to have Muerte roll an intelligence check. No, actually not intelligence. She's an animal. Let's say, well, no, because this is training, I'll roll with advantage. Okay. With a 14, I will say, what sort of tactic would you like to impart upon Muerte Blanca? What would you like to teach her?
Are you talking about like a tactic from like the fighter class?
No, I'm speaking just like maybe in terms of like, let's say, maybe an ability, perhaps, or even such as like an ability like a monster trait. This probably like could like involve like some like out of game like DM knowledge traits, or even increasing her to hit bonus, one of her stats, perhaps.
Can you give me a bit?
Sure. Well, while we're thinking of that, I'm going to switch over to Meepo. What would you have been doing during this time?
I'd have probably been praying and thinking about things that have been happening over the little bit, and watching both the sparring and the crafting to make sure they're not hurting themselves doing it.
Fair enough.
Cooking whatever meals they need.
Let's see. So I'm kind of condensing down downtime because I imagine you guys like time is a little bit wonky with modules, so I'm kind of condensing down time for this purpose. So I'm going to count your bout of prayer in this case as some religious service. Let's say let me see here. Roll either a religion check or a charisma persuasion check for me.
You said religion or charisma persuasion?
Yes, so intelligence, religion, or charisma persuasion.
Just a second, let me pull it up here.
And while the reward might not apply in this situation, I have a different idea in mind if you roll high enough. A 12. Okay, let me roll something. As you sit there in prayer and contemplation, and you make your meals for the rest of the group, you watch as Muerte seems to be becoming more fierce than usual, more fierce than usual. Which
Sweating.
Exactly. Could be a good or bad thing. It's hard to say. But as you're in deep thought and deep contemplation, you suddenly feel a light inside of you. This warm, fuzzy feeling that kind of dwells right in your heart. As it gets warmer and warmer, you suddenly have a warm sensation. The next time you encounter a follower of Eldath, you have a strong feeling that you might be owed a favor.
You say owed a favor?
Yes, you would be owed a favor. Whether that be shelter in basically a temple or spring of Eldath somewhere in the Dale.
Okay.
You would be given shelter there, with no expectation to pay that back. And you have the sense with that realization that there is in fact somewhere in the Dale a shelter of Eldath. Oh, you already have that?
Yeah, that's my acolyte background.
Ah, beans. Well, let me rephrase. Did I say favor? Well, when I say favor, I mean, oh, fuck, hold on. Shit, sorry. That's my fault. I should have remembered that you were an acolyte. Okay, well, when I say favor, I actually mean favor. Like you might ask something of.
Right.
This goes beyond
something more than just shelter of the faithful.
Yes.
Like something that they might not want to immediately give me.
Yes, I will say that.
Right.
So while there are no words spoken during this exchange, but you just know that the blessing of Eldath is upon you, and you just feel that to be right. So that's what you get during that time. Had any thoughts, Caleb, or do you need more time?
There is a trait. Let me pull it up real quick.
I'm hearing like a weird scratching sound on your end.
Are you still hearing it?
Not now, no. Like something was like moving along something, or like something like was scraping against something. But it's gone. It's not there now.
Is it this?
Yes, that might be it.
That's my hand rubbing against my computer.
Ah, okay. I was just
I
curious.
guess
I was
my
curious what that was. I was like, what is that noise?
It's rain.
I guess my microphone is very sensitive when I'm speaking. There's a ability from the Sahwagan called Blood Frenzy. The creature has advantage on melee attack rolls against any creature that doesn't have all its hit points.
Muerte actually already has that trait.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Let me keep looking real quick.
Okay, no problem, no problem. All right, in that case, let's say, yeah, in that case, since you had the idea, Skanuk, to make little little handles or little holes to slot in things to the side of the boat, why don't you go ahead? Do you have
Bounces.
do you have any materials that might suit such a thing, or do you have raw iron or such as that could constitute such a thing? Yeah, look, have a little goosey gander through your inventory.
Well, I've
I'll
got
check what Meepo has too.
rope, and that's pretty much it. I really do need to start getting a hold of some raw, like scrap iron and bits and bobs, don't I?
Could we
Anything
get
kobolds
scrap
do.
stuff from something inside of the shack that we're staying in?
Yeah, why don't you once you finish with that, Meepo, yeah, the training session is taking a bit long for Savage anyway, so you might as well take some time. So go ahead and both of you roll investigation checks then, as you're looking through the house.
If nothing else, I have some crossbow bolts.
So do I, actually.
Okay, you actually, it's funny. You find a pair of manacles. They're just lodged like beneath one of the floorboards. You think, oh, what's? I don't know. I don't want to know the story behind that, so I'm not going to ask. Maybe later. But yeah. So you find this would be suitable if you broke it apart. You could easily like weld or like hammer these into the sides of the boat.
You need help holding stuff, Skanak?
I wouldn't object to it.
Just don't hammer my thumb into anything.
No promises.
All right, go ahead and make a Smith's
Hail
tools
death,
check,
help us.
Skanak, with advantage.
What trait?
Smith's tools with advantage using your this time your dexterity.
That's the first
Thank
one.
you for advantage.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, Meepo.
There we go. Okay, easily enough. But you slot them in, and now if you want to slide in, like say a javelin, perhaps it would work. You even have a little clamp to snap it into place to make sure it doesn't slide out.
Maybe later on I'll make like a pike or a lance. We can put in this instead.
Like a little jousting lance, yeah.
Yeah. That way it'll actually protrude beyond the bird.
All right. So you had an idea, Caleb?
How about the half orc's relentless endurance?
Ah.
Muerte will not die.
Very good. Very good. Yes, I'll add that onto it. It will when it's taken damage to reduce it to 0 hit points is instead reduced to 1 hit point instead.
That makes Muerte even scared.
It will not die.
It's relentless. It's bloodthirsty. It's coming for you.
Alright, relentless endurance has been added onto Muerte. As a result of your training. The beast's power grows. So,
Beware the honk.
at this point, all of your preparations are complete. Um, I wouldn't add any more time to it. I will say at this point it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon because you guys had all different things you wanted to do during that time. So you can either set out now and camp during the journey, or you can just wait till morning anyway and then get the whole day.
Hmm.
Untitled Axe Beak game.
Like it's the Untitled Goose Game, but by way of Hitman.
Yeah, basically, it's a bloody version.
Um,
With a lot less
Probably
sneaking.
5 in the evening. I mean, I guess we might as well stay one more night and maybe like inform the peoples that we're leaving.
All right. Sounds good to me. Does that sound good to everyone else?
Was there anybody else we needed to be in contact with about us going somewhere? Besides just this town? Any other things we had to take care of before we start leaving the general area of 10 towns?
Let's see. What else do we have? I mean, there's that bullshit in Burning Shander. But
There is the hidden tavern, yes.
I don't think I really want to be there very often.
yeah.
We should stop
we-
by Tourmaline and make sure they're all doing all right, probably.
Yeah. Did we already resolve that stuff with the dwarf?
Which dwarf?
Oh, you
The
mean
goat salesman?
Grinsk Barrelbore?
Yeah, that asshole.
Yeah, that you already solved that.
Yeah,
That's all good taken care of.
We
he's
need
gonna be as grumpy as he's gonna be. We can't really do much more
Yeah,
than.
because you bought the boat from, now you're basically square.
That's where the walrus came from.
It is.
Unless you guys have another name for it.
Ooh. Walrus is pretty funny.
I do kind of
Pretty
like the
solid one.
walrus as a name for the boat. Just as a DM, I kind of like it.
Axebeak pulling the walrus filled with kobolds.
What an image.
And I can see like Hawks Hagner doing the George Washington crossing the Delaware pose.
I
That with added spears.
Right.
not gonna lie,
And
I
an
kind of want to
Axebeak.
draw that.
I won't stop you.
I just have to. The problem with drawing is I gotta have the motivation and I gotta have like the right idea of like how to do.
All you have to do is like sketch out the rough image of Washington crossing the Delaware, and then like label the people in it. Put the axe
Right,
beak in front, and put uh the tusks on it,
Listen,
and then detail.
I'm not gonna Photoshop it. I'm actually gonna draw this if I am going to commit to it.
Yeah, that's
But
why I said sketch out.
fair enough. Either way, though. Either way. I assume at this point, though, you would. Is that it? Confirming though that you wish to sleep for the night and then.
Right. Sleep for the night, change spells around, and then head to Tourmaline, I think, is the first stop, and then south from there, right?
Right to me.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
So in that case, you sleep for the night. No odd dreams this time. And with that, before you set out, though, you do get a present from Nimsy Huddle. She actually gives you a map of the greater part of the Dale.
Oh no.
And it's more detailed. This is the actual map from the module. Let me zoom out here.
Oh, it's at a different angle? Oh no. Oh no.
No, it's at a similar angle. I mean, well, I took some artistic liberties with the other
burns.
map, so that's my fault. But
I don't know. It's not like it's not an actual problem. It's just a funny.
yeah, there we go. That works. Okay. So you go down to Tourmaline, and I don't beans. I think the arrow is on the other map. Hang on, I gotta find a new arrow to mark your progress. Awful. It's weird and curved. I don't like it, but I'll take it. There we go. Wait, no. I thought I put you in isometric, but I guess I did. There we go. There. So you head down to Tourmaline, and you check in with Tavessa and all the kobolds, and everything is going okay there. Tavessa actually is working alongside the speaker. Actually, he is like giving her some space in his house to kind of like sort herself together, and she from his house is actually like selling some of her scrimshaw items. She's actually put hard at work at creating some new things to sell. So she is actually doing quite well right now. Although she can't help but feel that something is watching her when she goes to bed at night from the window. But sometimes she says that she sees strange glowing lights in the distance. But she has not been harmed or approached by anything, so she feels okay for now. But she does warn you of that. Other than that, though, the kobolds are doing great. They are a big hit in the town now. Every time the kobolds walk by, a couple of the kids like scream out hello. All the locals now know them by names. So far, everything is going okay in Tourmaline.
How is our resident nutjob kobold?
He had an incident where he attacked a goat, so now he is in the timeout corner until he learns not to do that again. But otherwise,
They should have him. They should have him learn to hunt.
well, that's what they're trying to do now. But first, he has to learn his lesson, and then they can teach him that.
Learn what to hunt first.
Yes.
Okay.
But yes.
Meepo would definitely suggest that. That way he gets to stab things, and they get some use out of him.
All right. So, if we're mapping it out here, so you're going down this way, or actually, hold on. Let me double check. I have to make sure of this so I know the exact location. Because I think I might be pointing you in the wrong direction with that. Double check that. Let's see here. Okay. I was in fact not pointing you in the wrong direction entirely, but it was close. So you get a sense that the location of the signal is somewhere. Yeah, somewhere over here in this area down here. So somewhere over there is where the signal's coming from. So, as you take the day's journey, I would like, let's say, Savage, roll a d20 for me, and then after Savage, Meepo, roll a d20 for me. A 2. And a 4. Alright, so let me roll as well. Should have done this beforehand. Okay. double check something. That actually might change things. Right, not to roll. Okay. And because of that, Hawks roll a d20, and then after Hawks, Skanuk roll a d20.
D20, you say?
Mm-hmm. It's just straight d20. Okay, so... I actually have to roll 2d4s. This is a the 6... the 6 that I rolled really messed with my groove.
You throw off my groove? I was like,
They're off the Emperor's Groove.
yeah, that was like my way of the Beatles somehow. I'm not sure what that was.
Okay. Actually, I have to re-roll that because it's the same answer. Fuck it. It's not gonna happen at the same time. Okay, so with the day's travel, you guys get about right there. About right there. As you go across the plains, eventually you get closer and closer. We can start to see a more heavily deciduous forest that is kind of surrounding at the base of the mountain. And as you are doing that, it is now getting closer to the afternoon. Yes. So actually, in that case, if it's the afternoon, you'll actually be right there. And the first set of d20s rolls. 2, 4. Okay. As this takes place, as the day goes by, the weather starts to take a turn for the worse. As the wind picks up, and the winds encircle around you, unfortunately, it seems that you currently are in the midst of another blizzard, it seems. So you can either hunker down, wait it out, or you can go through and hope that you're going the right way.
I, for one, vote we wait it out.
I really don't feel like getting lost, and I don't think we're in too much of a rush.
Agreed.
Majority overruled.
Besides, this way we'll see the Yeti coming.
Right. I do not want to get hurt from having overstepped our bounds.
Fair enough.
Good.
Fair enough. Let's see here. So, since you all are going to venture in during the blizzard, who are you designating as your navigator? To make a wisdom survival check.
Wait. Did we say we were staying or moving?
Oh, I thought the majority overruled was you going. Am I wrong?
He said that the majority was overruled. I think he was just saying that he wants to go.
I was saying I want to go, but the other three, who are the majority, want to stay.
Overruled
So we're
him.
staying.
Ah, so what is actually happening here? I need to.
So
confirm.
we're staying.
Staying.
He said the majority overruled his opinion.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you for confirming. Sorry. Okay, so you decided to wait it out.
Right.
Okay.
Because we're not in a hurry. We don't want to get ambushed while we're blinded, and we don't want to get lost. So, waiting it out, hoping to not die.
Well, The unfortunate news is that it seems like the blizzard lasts pretty much into the night. You're probably gonna have to camp here.
Can I study the map for the day just to kind of get a idea of what the terrain and stuff will look like going forward from here?
You can
What
attempt
part,
to make a.
where are we on that map?
I mean, at your best guess, if you can see where it is, the arrow right here, that's your best guess of where you are. You're probably only like
Okay.
maybe not even a half mile from Duggan's Hole, one of the 10 towns villages.
Right. So we already passed Bryn Shander a long time ago.
Correct.
Okay.
As you're, why don't you go ahead and roll an intelligence check for me, just as you're
Okay.
kind of reading the map.
Do we have proficiency? I don't, so I will just.
That shouldn't be for a straight check. Well, intelligence check, but that's fine.
I was
So-
checking if I had proficiency in cartographer's tools.
Right, so it's the save, but it's the same because you don't have proficiency in save, so I'll take this roll. 18. I'll say.
Oh.
Because you're studying the map, you have a general sense of direction. So you think that if you did decide to go towards Duggan's Hall, you think you wouldn't need to make a survival check. You would know where to go. That wouldn't take any. It wouldn't be difficult, so you wouldn't lose your way.
We're close enough, and I've figured kind of what direction it is and everything.
Mm-hmm. Because now, in contrast, the place that you're going, you only have a vague idea, so you wouldn't know either way.
Right.
That's a bit of a harder DC to make. But as you're eyeing the map, I would like everyone to make perception checks, but with disadvantage because of the Howling Blizzard. Okay.
The dude with the one eye has the better perception.
He's used to having disadvantage.
I find that very funny. that is quite funny.
He's
to
also
me.
maybe using his ears more than his eye. Who knows?
Well, I mean that is true, but it is howling wind, so it is difficult to hear. But
Right.
despite that, he still gets a good sense that you hear what appears to be the sound of a bear, somewhat close by.
No bear.
Not an owl bear. From the sounds, it might be some sort of polar bear, you imagine. Where it's kind of grunting and kind of making its way through the tundra. It kind of, you at some point you stop hearing it and you actually see it, Savage, making its way, kind of tobogganing down a hill, kind of making itself a little burrow in the snow. But its head turns towards you for a second. Go ahead and make an insight check for me. As the bear looks at you, you can't help but notice that its gaze is drawn to you every so often. And you can't help but feel as it makes a little burrow, it is watching you. But it, as opposed to how a bear would probably be territorial, or probably would, usually polar bears are quite dangerous, you sense no malice or ill intent coming from this bear. It is strangely calm and okay with you.
It's another kindred spirit.
Are we gonna train a polar bear next?
Do not tempt me.
White witches slay.
I'm sorry, but if we get a bear in our squad, I am going to be making so many bear puns that you won't be able to bear it anymore.
Let's see here. So there was another roll that was.
And I'll make some polar puns. There'll be maybe 3 of them.
Hopefully they won't be too polarizing.
Stop.
It'll be the polar opposite.
The bad thing about these puns is these. Not even it's the exaggerated delay.
Well, when you are purposefully making puns in order to be goofy, you can do that for a little bit. But if you do it for like 10 minutes straight and people just stop even looking at you, then you've overstayed your welcome.
Roll something. I get to roll. I got making lots of rolls here. It's quite fun. Let's see. Okay. At this point in time, the bear, kind of, you can notice that it's made its den quite slightly around, maybe, even though you can't see very far, about maybe 30 feet at most away from where you are. It's kind of teetering on the edge of your vision a little bit. It's maintaining its presence, but not approaching you. But at this point in time, you would need to set up camp and bunker down, as it were. But you would need to light a fire or find some sort of shelter, because otherwise even with your winter clothes during a blizzard, it's going to be a hard time. So you can do what you did before and make a makeshift tent out of the walrus, like you did before, and that could work. But you will need some sort of source of fire for sure.
I have fire.
Yeah.
What roll are we making?
No rolls
Firebolt.
actually. Well, I'll say, what are you firebolting, Skuna? What are you trying to light on fire?
Oh, we're making a fire.
Skunk misses the fire pit, shoots the bear.
I'm not going to have you shoot the
Absolutely
bear,
not.
but your blunder does shoot off, kind of in that direction, and the bear is not startled. Interestingly enough, it kind of like watches the firebolt go. Kind of turns back to you. Almost like it's laughing to itself. Very odd
I
bear.
trust that bear way less than normal right now. I already don't trust bears.
The bear disappears.
Right, we already took out the druid that was awakening things, but that doesn't mean they stopped being awakened.
The bear walks away, vanishes from sight at the moment.
There are also other druids. It might actually be a druid.
Yeah.
Although, I will say, I have known druids to not be aligned with the Frostmite.
If you say so. Anyway, yes, let's
I
start a
do owe
fire.
my life to druid, and there are some druids who are involved with Eldar.
Boom, 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 boom. You hear this creaking sound. Sound of cracking wood. Sound of scraping claws and snapping of twigs.
Wow.
You see the bear come back. This time it is approaching your camp.
Does it have anything with it?
It does.
Hello!
It has a bundle of sticks and logs of wood.
Well then.
And the bear suddenly walks on two legs. But bears can do that. That's normal. Then it becomes fully bipedal, not just a bear walking on two legs.
Is it a werebear?
It is in fact a werebear, yes. And as the bear walks towards you, you can see that it has these woven beads into its, kind of matted into its fur, and it's wearing this delightful little leather mask over its face, and it plops down the wood and kind of sits next to you. Well, Thought I saw you were having some trouble, so I thought I could lend some assistance for you.
That's mighty neighborly of you. Welcome.
I do what I can. Mighty blustery tonight, isn't it?
It sure is. It's a cold one.
Here, let me help you. And she
Should I
actually
say a
lights.
cold 100?
Yeah, this individual lights the fire for you. Just blazes up.
My name's Meepo Molo, and what's yours?
She kind of thinks for a second. I've never really been good with names, even my own name. You can just call me a friend for now. Things get fuzzy when you're a bear.
Was that a bear pun?
The bear looks over at you and smiles.
I warned you about the bear puns. They're inevitable. They're bearing down on us.
Simply delightful.
That's how inevitable they are.
Oh no.
Oh no.
But what you now clearly see as a werebear, kind of like puts some more logs in the fire and kind of pokes it a little bit, making sure it's pure, it's fueled enough. So, where y'all have a destination in mind? Are you lost in any way, or?
Well, not a direct destination, but a general vague direction?
Interesting. Wandering through a blizzard with no specific destination in mind. Normally, people would call that a fool's errand, but I sense an adventurous spirit in you.
I wouldn't say that we don't have a specific destination, just that the specific destination's a pretty big area.
Right.
Where are you heading?
To the spine of the world.
The spine, eh? Lots of dangerous things in the spine lately.
You wouldn't happen to know about any dangerous things in the spine that might be a little bit, tentacly and purple.
He kind of thinks for a second. I might know of something like that, but I wouldn't want wanderers like yourselves to get hurt. Best not to go near that place, if I were you. If you want to stay safe.
Shame.
Kind of nods. Listen, I won't stop you if you intend to go that way. In fact, I fancy myself a wilderness guide. I help people like you find their way when they're lost, if I can find them in time. And I'll take you to the spines. I know a way or two up there. But I would caution against it either way. I don't want to see any innocent people hurt.
It's okay. One good training arc and we'll be ready for anything.
You actually get a good chuckle out of him with that.
We are adventurers after all, and we have Eldath with us.
You notice, you specifically, Hawks, would hear her mutter something in Giant or whisper it to herself. You hear her kind of whisper, fools, a lot of them. But kind fools.
I'll respond in giant, well-traveled fools.
Her head kind of picks up at that. And with that, you watch as the werebear form actually shifts to that of a Goliath woman. She kind of gives you a big smile. Well, not often I hear the giant tongue spoken aloud. Where did you come across that tongue, if I might ask? How'd you learn it?
Well,
This is a long story, and we'll be here for a while, so this is good time for it.
It is. Nothing like a story by the campfire.
back when I was just a wee kobold, I
2 hours later.
and that's how I learned to swing an axe.
Chop.
Fascinating. You actually met with one of the Dreamwalkers, and they took you in.
Yeah, I learned a whole lot about the world of dreams out here from him.
So
A
what
whole lot
brought
of
you-
skills that I think are very valuable.
Kind of strokes her chin. So what brought you all the way out here then? You were so far away.
Well, I heard word that there were kobolds living in this area, and I thought I'd check it out myself. Really wasn't inclined to go back to my old clan, and but I was still looking for other people like me to be around.
Actually,
Yeah, Eldath led him to me, and us to the rest of them.
Eldath worshiper, you say?
Right.
You know, I once knew a druid of Eldath at one point. Had been a while since I've seen her, though. Nice lady.
She live around these parts?
Well, it's been some time since I've seen her, but I believe she has a grove that she keeps somewhere in the Dale, although it's secret enough that even I don't know about it.
Well, hopefully I'll get the chance to see her. I've been spreading the word about that in 10 towns of late, and perhaps maybe she'll be able to help me in that endeavor.
Maybe. What was her name again?
Don't say Ravison.
No, it's not Ravison. Her name is Rionok Ol Castadai. And as that name is said, Meepo, you recognize that name.
Uh-huh. Don't say.
I do.
And you
in
said
fact.
Rionok is a follower of Eldath?
Aye, she is indeed.
Well, that's good news.
Aye, she like me is a soul that wanders around and tries to help those she can, but for those that are trying to do good in the Dale, in equal amount, try and take what they can. She sacrifices a bit more than most, though. I once saw her raise a spirit from the dead into a new body one time. That was a sight to see. I've rarely seen such magics before, but only truly powerful druids have used such magic. The frost druids that make their way in the Dale also have such power, but few have the resources like Rionok does.
Well, I'm thankful that she's an Eldath worshiper and she's out there doing that stuff.
Indeed.
Very thankful.
Since we're on the topic of speaking of the Dale, is there anything in the Dale that you might have some questions about, or any locations that you're looking for anything else besides what you're currently seeking? So perhaps I can persuade you not to go there.
My mentor told me of a place in the Dale where the spirits of the Jarls of the Frost Giants of old gather at times. I was wondering if you've ever been there, if you have any information on it.
As you kind of say that, there is a glint of recognition in her eyes. He kind of looks towards the sky as the winds kind of howl around. I have indeed. In fact, I'm one of the few people that do know of it. The Jarlmoot is what it's called.
That's a very on-the-nose name.
Such are many things the giants make.
Giant is very descriptive.
Let me see if I can find more specific information for you other than that. One little sec. Man, I'm getting all the book out from everything today. This is great. I left flipping through these pages. Here we go. So what I can tell you about the army. It's located in a place relatively west of 10 towns. It's hard to find for most because of the ever-drifting snow. Makes those who try and find their way there lose their way and go elsewhere. But if one so happens to stumble upon it, one would find 7 empty ice-glazed thrones to form a ring atop the snow-covered hillock. And under the light of the full moon, those frost giant jarls in their ghostly forms appear on the thrones, clutching the ends of the armrests with icy fingers as they reminisce about the glorious past. From what I've heard, is that 3, or that the lord of all these giants was Rhaegar Yarva. They called him the Jarl of Jarls, and he often had the final say in any heated discussion. His ghost sits on the throne that faces the north, as he should as the Jarl of Jarls. But they say that a secret lies beneath the hillock. A vestige of the giant's lost magic within. If one were to find such a place. And she kind of looks towards you. What would you do with that knowledge, I wonder?
Well, I don't know. I think I would... For one, I'd have a bunch of questions to ask about the region. For 2, I would probably want to figure out some of the ancient secrets of the Frost Giants. I mean, I'm sure they've got some fascinating stories. They're bold warriors from what I hear.
Aye, they were indeed.
I think there's probably a lot to learn from them.
Kind of nods. There is much to learn from them, yes. I wonder. She kind of takes a long look at each and every one of you, kind of sizing you up. She kind of gazes from one person to the next. It's almost as if sizing you up as a warrior and kind of seeing your strength individually. Perhaps my initial assumption was wrong. Perhaps you are strong enough. Let me tell you a secret, a little trick. If one wishes to find the Almond, perhaps one might merely use the knowledge of the giants to find the right path. And she kind of taps on your shoulder, on the rune, Hux. She gives you a wink.
Intriguing. Is there something that it seems like she's implying there, or
Make a roll either an Arcana check with advantage or an Insight check.
So the path is marked with a rune of some sort, right?
Insight 16. You get the sense that she's implying that perhaps because you have some power with the runes, you might be able to find some way, either using your magic or maybe finding a path related to giants, that you would be the one uniquely suited to find the right path without getting lost.
interesting? Can I ask one question, though?
Sure can.
I mean, it's a big area to cover either way, but you said west of the 10 towns, right?
Yes, I did.
Do you know if the location is to the north or the south of the Shangarn?
Let me double check that.
Just, split the search area in half a little bit. That might narrow it down just a little bit.
To the south of the Shingon, but more to the west.
Hmm.
Far from the clutches of our Village race. Though she may claim all of Icewind Dale as her own, she tends not to venture far down that south. Old wounds, perhaps, dealing with giants. Sour memory, perhaps.
Interesting. Well, that gives me some ideas, but
So,
I'll have to think on that.
yeah, you kind of get the sense that she's pointing
Somewhere in this broader area, I would think.
somewhere in this direction, somewhere in that kind of broad, vague area.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, there we go. That's a nice little indicator right there.
Speaking of ruins and the moon, we came across this area where there were some rather interesting features that fit something like what you're talking about, only on a smaller scale. Is that something that's common in these parts?
What are you referring to, sweet thing?
Well, there was some tombs in a circle around a moon dial, and a rather strange platform out front of it.
Ah, you see recognition come across her face. Yes, I have seen that. I don't know too much of the history of it, unfortunately, but I have heard of a tale surrounding it. An old legend of two siblings, one betraying the other, one cursed to wander the forest for all eternity,
While he's talking, I'm watching
the other
Sonar.
imprisoned for all time. Each one cursed, one by the other. Sonar, go ahead and roll an insight on him.
Insight on Amami. Insight.
12. Let me double check Sonar's stats. I don't imagine charisma being very high, but I could be wrong before.
Who knows?
Double check. What is a mummy's charisma? It can't be very high.
I mean, it could be if they're spellcaster, and that's what their
Surprising.
spellcasting scaling off.
He gets a +1 to this. I am actually shocked. It matches, so you actually cannot read Sinar. I mean, usually he's unreadable anyway, but you do notice that he's unusually quiet, more so than usual.
He's inscrutable, like the Sphinx.
I mean, to be fair, he is wearing the full mask, so it is kind of hard to read his
It's
expression
true.
anyway. But
But his posture doesn't seem to change or anything.
not that you can tell.
Would you say that
Oh my goodness.
running into one or both of the brothers would mean something?
Kind of thinks for a second. Well, legends are just legends, my dear. I couldn't say one way or the other, but I like to think that if the brother was freed or the sister freed as well, perhaps some peace might eventually come to those woods, but who can say? It's all just a story. But every story has a hint of truth.
I'll have to pray about that tonight.
You get no response back, Savage. Sinar is intentionally not listening to you, or is purposely not answering.
Suspicious.
So what did you say, Nebo? I'm sorry.
I just said I'll have to pray about that tonight.
You kinda
In other
nods.
words, I'm changing my spells tonight.
Well, I think we should sleep for the night. We got the fire going, it's cover low enough. Blizzard should be over by dawn.
That's good to hear.
She kind of like puts a finger in her mouth and just kind of puts it up in the air. Yes, by dawn. So, with that, do you all fall asleep?
Maybe we should set watches at least.
I would go to sleep with the intention of trying to be the first one to wake up. If we're going to do watches, then I'll take the last watch.
Fair enough.
Ox will take the first watch. Why not?
Alright. Hawks, because it is Blizzard, like conditions, you will do this at disadvantage.
Perception?
Yes. 7. You don't really see or hear much of anything. The howling winds surround you at every turn. And unfortunately, you just feel cold and numb. Despite the warmth of the fire, it doesn't seem to help you all that much. But thankfully, as far as you can tell, nothing happens during your watch. And so, Meepo, you probably take your watch now as you wake up slightly earlier, so go ahead and roll your perception.
Okay. Disadvantage, right?
Well, it would be disadvantage, but this watch you're actually aided by the werebear. She is also taking it with you.
Alright. 10. As you're taking your watch, you hear a sharp, shrilling screech, followed by a and you just whap! Something fluffy, feathery hits you in the face. Ouch.
Ooh. You see
What?
the werebear kind of like plucks something off of your face, and you see an owl, different from the owl. This is definitely not the same owl as the one that Miss Valen had. It is also a snowy owl, but the beak is a bit differently shaped.
Okay, well, I've just been hit with an owl. Good morning.
Morning, sorry
I've
about
been hit with the
that.
talking owl.
Yes, I in fact have the manner in which to speak the common language. Yes, that is me.
Why, hello there.
Hello.
It's a bit snowy out to be flying.
Yes, it is. I got rather lost, and I was hoping I could bum off you some shelter for the night. That would be cool.
Why not?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate
Uh,
you.
are Are you familiar with Eldath?
No.
Well, let me
That's
tell
quite
you about
healthy.
Eldath.
I would rather not.
I'm gonna continue.
Okay then, as you ramble off everything about Eldath. While that happens, um, you see, the werebear, just kind of looking at the owl, kind of squinting at it. For no particular reason, she's just kind of eyeing it. The owl, if an owl could sweat, it could, but
Is
the
the
werebear.
werebear in werebear form, in bear form, or in Goliath
Well,
form?
she is in Goliath form since she started talking to you.
Right. She never went back to bear form.
Yeah, I'm calling her the werebear because she is not giving you her name yet.
Right.
It's easier to identify her that way.
Yep.
But besides that, is
That's
is
why
you.
I specifically asked.
Besides that, you ramble off so hard that you just fall asleep and your watch ends. So next up, either Skinnock or Savage, whoever wants to take it next.
I'll do it. Disadvantage
Oh,
perception?
wait. I was second watch? I was asking for last watch.
Oh, I thought you wanted to wake up earlier.
Yeah, so he's saying he wanted to do his 6 hours as a block and then have the last 2 be when he's awake.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because you don't go back to sleep after your watch when.
I'm sorry. I'm misunderstanding a lot of things this time.
That's okay.
My apologies. In that case, that'll
Well,
be in the future. So we're fast
No,
forward
it's
back in
fine.
time.
I'll just wake up early anyway. I can do it. It doesn't bother me.
No, it's good. No, it's good. It's good. I will do what you wanted to do. So rewind. Savage and go ahead. Savage roll perception disadvantage, and then Skinnock roll disadvantage.
Eh.
Okay, 8 and 10. We roll something.
I thought it was weird that there were only 2 watches.
Yep. Again, my bad. So, thankfully though.
I should have mentioned something when you first pulled me up.
Nope, it's fine. It's all good. It's, again, my own fault. Thankfully though, rest of your watches go without issue, and then back to normal.
Okay.
In the morning.
So before I wake everyone up, I'm assuming at this point I'd be able to have switched my spells for the day.
You would have, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to go over to Sonar and say, Sonar, I'm going to remove curse on you. Is that alright?
Kind of nods up and down.
Okay, I'm going to use remove curse then.
Okay. Let's see here. Remove curse. Let's see.
I have it as the highest level spell slot I have is this lowest level slot you can cast remove cursed at, so.
Right. Let me just read my own personal notes here. One moment. You cast Remove Curse upon Sinar. And there is a moment where nothing happens. But then, you see a sigil on Sinar's forehead begin to glow. Something in Elven, you think. But you see it begins to turn bright white, and then it shatters and dissipates. Sinar's old crusty eyelids blink, blink. Huh. Kind of tilts his head to the side as if pondering.
You okay?
He kind of nods. Moving a bit more with purpose this time, as opposed to lazily floundering around you. He starts kind of walking around, as opposed to like being like at your beck and call and like waiting around you. He seems to be more independent, and he's kind of like looking around and inspecting things, and just kind of like looking around and kind of looking at his own hands and crunching in his hands, like into like balling it again and opening it.
Alright, I'm going to wake these others up. Morning.
Saldareo kind of puts a hand to its head. At this point, you all are now awake. No, he was able to talk before, but he could only speak in Elvish. But he seems to have more purpose to himself, if that makes sense. Like there is an individuality.
He's not just like a zombie following after us, kind of just waiting for our instructions to do anything.
Correct.
He's got his own will, basically, now. Which is something that I didn't realize he didn't have until now.
That's alarming.
Well, alarming, but it could be good, because it could mean he comes and helps us and does what is helpful for us from his own perspective. Who knows?
So now, yeah, at this point, all of you now see a very proactive Sinar, as he is now just pacing back and forth with a crooked, cracking finger on his chin, and he is just pacing. And the werebear kind of looks over. Is your friend, is he okay?
Right. I happen to have attempted to remove a curse from him, and it seems to have worked. Although we do not share a language in common, so I don't know how to ask what's wrong with him or what's going on.
What languages does he speak?
Do we know?
You know he speaks Elven. That's a given.
Right, Elvin.
Let me double check and see if this person knows Elven really quickly. Give me a second. 1 second. Let me look here.
Does the Goliath werebear speak Elven?
I mean, it's a I would assume no, but you can never be too sure.
It's possible.
Possible. I just need to be sure. Okay, no. She does not. She does not, in fact, speak that language. He knows Common and Giant.
You.
So he wouldn't be much help. What do the rest of you do during this time, as you now come to realize this about Sinar? That he is a bit more independent than usual.
I'd probably try to talk to him telepathically again.
Okay. As you attempt the connection this time, the mental acuity with which he responds is much faster this time. Ah, good friend Savage, I implore you, I may need to leave you for some time. My sister. I must save my sister.
Who's your sister and where is she and what kind of danger is she in?
My sister, Suela. You might have seen her wandering the woods. An elvish woman carrying an elegant longbow, cursed to wander the woods for all time for her betrayal of me and our family. But it's just not her fault. I can save her. Please, will you let me go? Will you let me go to her?
Yeah, we might have run into her once before. You go do you.
Thank you, friend Savage. Once my task is done, I will return to you. This I swear. He kind of puts a hand over his chest and gives you a deep, deep bow. You all have been so kind to me in my bound state. I appreciate all of you. Please tell them that I care for each and every one of them, and I will be back.
I will relay your message.
Thank you, friend Savage. I must go. My sister awaits me. And with that, you all watch now as Sinar begins to walk away. Into the snow. Into the distance.
So do we know where he's going off to?
I think I heard him say something. His sister and must go save her. And I will return.
Well, sounds fun. Best of luck to him.
Right. Okay. I wish I could help.
Good luck to you, buddy.
He's strong. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Never saw him again. I mean,
Then he was eaten by a dragon. No.
If nothing else, I wish I knew how to speak Elvish, because then I could use sending with him. But if I did, I'd just get a bunch of jumbling words that I wouldn't understand.
You do see for a moment that as he is probably around like maybe 500 feet away at this point, he stops and kind of slowly turns back, gives a small wave. It's a very, very sad wave. And then he continues what he's doing. He continues on his path. You can tell there is
I suppose I
a sense
could
of...
tell him where we are every once in a while using sending.
You could, yeah. Although he may not... He'll probably understand you, but you wouldn't be able to understand
Right.
the message back, funnily enough, with sending.
So one-way sending.
Also, it's at this point that you all notice that there's just an owl that is just, it's just hanging out there.
Oh, right, you. What's your story?
I don't really have a story. I just, dumb old druid, you gave me the smarts, and now I'm just flying around, minding my own business. Just owl things, I suppose. Occasionally getting.
I have
hungry.
another question for the group. Is
Can I
anybody
insight
else
that?
suffering from a curse that perhaps I could remove while I have the spell prepared?
Sure, go ahead and insight that for sure.
Okay, because of my stone rune, I have advantage on wisdom insight.
Well,
So
you beat his 13. Uh, you notice that when he's being questioned, you notice his feathers start to ruffle a little bit. He is uncomfortable with this line of questioning. Very
listen,
uncomfortable.
buddy. We've all got our secrets. We've all got our things that we've been through and don't want to talk about. But I swear on my axe that if you end up being trouble for us,
Trouble?
Um-
No. Why would I be trouble? I'm just an owl. You know, what trouble can an owl be? I mean, you're clearly the bigger, superior predator. I can't do shit to you. I mean, I'm just an owl.
Is that
Hawks will
true?
start counting off on his fingers. You could be spying on us. You
That
could be
part's
some
true.
kind of spellcaster in disguise. You could be. There's a lot of things you could be that would be a pain in my tuchus.
From the inside, it seems like it definitely doesn't seem like he's lying about being an owl. It's more like he's trying to play off any danger he might like be to you, like by playing. Oh, I'm just a dumb owl. Like, what can I do to you? He's trying to play it off. But as the counting down of the fingers, go ahead and roll intimidation, Hawks.
It's actually not one that Hawks is good at, but we'll see.
11.
If I'd have known we'd been doing some interrogating, I might have prepared a different spell for today, too.
Funnily enough, he rolled a 13 again, so he does actually manage to beat you. The feathers do ruffle. It's like, look, I already told you, like, look, I'm not a threat to you. Like, I'm just hanging out. I'm just an owl, man. I'm just like if you don't want me here, like I can go. Like I can fly away. Like here, you know what? Here, you know what? Fine, I'll fly away. How about that? He starts flying away. Peace out.
Peace out. I like that one. I'm gonna use it.
I just need a shelter for the blizzard anyway. I don't gotta take this shit out.
I'm assuming that at least some of that is also him bluffing and lying.
I'll say the 24 carries over, yeah.
I got a feeling he's gonna follow us a little bit.
Well, if he wasn't a talking owl, I'd just suggest eating him, but since he can talk, it kind of...
I don't know. Owl's an owl. It's pretty similar to a chicken anyway.
Well, I'm just talking about morally. I don't know how I feel about it. Maybe if we just found him dead, I'd be okay with it, but...
The Goliath kind of gets up from where she's sitting. Kind of like, and you see as she morphs back into the polar bear humanoid hybrid form. But I'll tell you what, I'll keep a special eye out for that one. If I see them, I'll let you know.
Sounds like a good thing to me.
Until then, though, you have somewhere that you want to be.
Right.
And I, being the wilderness guy that I am, feel obliged to take you there. Despite how much I may caution against it, I trust that you all have the strength to face what comes next.
So we switched a mummy for a werebear.
For now, at least.
If we do our jobs right, you won't have to worry about guiding anyone else there. Or the dangers of doing so.
We'll see. She kind of gives you a... The polar bear face gives you a slight drawing back of the teeth and a wink. And she turns into a full polar bear form and starts kind of like galumphing off, waiting occasionally for you to follow her. And as you follow her to where you assume this strange vessel might be, we're going to end the session there for tonight.
Is Bean still with us?
Oh yeah, he is. He was just
He's
quiet,
bushing around.
being a bush.
Doesn't talk much.
Look, man, I've been scared as shit the whole time. I've been keeping quiet.
That's
Yeah.
alright.
Like, I know
Thank
better,
you,
okay? Like, sometimes, like, look, Ravison, super abusive, okay? Like, I spoke one thing at a turn. Like, I have a lot to unpack from my own personal trauma, okay?
I understand. We're here for you if you need it.
Thank you. But in terms of DM speak, yes, I actually did forget about.
Right.
forget the
I
beginning.
just remembered him just near the end. I was like thinking of the companions we had. I was like, wait, we have the bush too, don't we?
Yep. I messed up a lot this session. Forgive me. It's been a
Oh,
few
it's
weeks.
fine.
My apologies.
Because the bush doesn't really do anything unless we need it.
That is true.
There was no danger for it to avoid or anything, so it's just a bush.
Just a bush. Oh my goodness. So, Back at it again. How did you guys like the session?
It was good. It's good.
I made good progress. It's good to get back in the saddle.
I-
Yeah.
I just figured Sonar was gonna follow us around for the rest of the thing, and we weren't gonna learn anything else about him. But I'm glad that I got a little bit of information about that place and figured out.
Yeah. Nice little, oh, pardon me, excuse me. When you help out a friend with a remove curse, who knows what might happen?
You know, I'm gonna send to Sonar. While you're up there, bring the mirror back and see if you can find Ravison's book.
Okay. If you do wish to send that to him, I will write that down somewhere so I remember.
I will
that.
send it. I'll use a spell slot to multitask our group since I forgot that we didn't go after that.
Alright, let me write that down so I don't forget that nugget of information.
I'll even.
Alright, there we go. Alright, wrote that down. Alright, so for now though, we're going to end the stream right here. So if you've been watching, if you've rewatched us, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Till then, catch you later. Bye bye.